participants of your school are participating in visual vibes, you need to send your team. Are they participating in visual vibes? The team who has just done this. Anyone participating in visual vibes? Please, bacha, you need to come out, so we are dropping you to your venue.
Every brilliant experiment, like every great work of art, starts with an act of imagination. This statement rings true in our world today, where scientific experiments and discoveries keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Storytelling, too, has always been an essential part of cultures worldwide. Long before written records, stories and legends were passed orally from generation to generation, preserving knowledge and inspiring new ideas. Today, let's celebrate and revive this timeless art of storytelling that inspires us all.
A very warm namaste to our revered Madam Principal, Mrs. Gulshan Kaur, esteemed judges, and all the participating schools. I am Shranya, and together with my co-host Darsh, we are excited to welcome you to the LAAM EXPORAMA Sanghoshti Quantum Quill Challenge. Get ready, embark on an inspiring journey as we blend the art of storytelling with the power of scientific imagination.
I am delighted to announce the esteemed presence of Dr. Yogyata Pathania, who is an Assistant Professor of Physics, DAV College, Sector 10, Chandigarh. She has completed her postdoctorate from IISER Mohali and also served as women scientist over there. She has also completed a project funded via DST New Delhi.
And I would also like to welcome Dr. Ishita Sareen, who is an Assistant Professor in English at the DAV College, Chandigarh. She has completed her bachelor's from Lady Shri Ram College for Women and master's from the Hansraj College, University of Delhi. She was recently awarded her doctorate from the Punjab University in Chandigarh.
The Quantum Quill Challenge is where the art of storytelling meets science and creativity. The name Quantum Quill symbolizes the endless possibilities of imagination to inspire positive change, just as quantum science opens doors to new horizons. Each of our participants will use their quill to bring forth visions of the future and propose ideas for a better world.
Today, 15 brilliant contestants, each representing a different school, will compete in showcasing their unique storytelling talents and scientific insights. The competition will be judged based on creativity and originality, relevance to the theme, narrative structure, presentation and engagement, scientific feasibility, and the overall impact and vision.
Before we begin, here are some important guidelines for our participants. Each story must focus on futuristic fiction, presenting imaginative yet feasible ideas that tackle real-world challenges through advancements in science and technology. The presentation should last between 7 to 10 minutes. Originality and creativity are the keys. Each narrative should address a relevant problem or challenge, imagining a future where advancements provide innovative solutions. Stories should be grounded in scientific principles or theories, showcasing advancements that could realistically happen in the future. Feel free to enhance your presentation with props or digital visuals.
Another important point, a warning bell will sound at the 9-minute mark to help the participants keep track of time, and the final bell will ring at 10 minutes, marking the end of the presentation.
Now, let's get started. Our first team is ready to take the stage. All the best. Let your ideas shine and imagination soar. Let's welcome team number 18 to the stage. Best of luck. Judges to kindly note that it's team number 18. By the time the team members are getting ready, I would like to share some scientific facts. Do you know sound travels over 4 times faster in water than it does in air? This is why underwater sonar is so effective. And another interesting fact. Do you know, if you could travel at the speed of light, you would still take 4.3 years to reach our closest star system, Alpha Centauri. DNA is about 2 meters long, but it fits into a tiny cell because it's packed extremely tightly. If you stretched out all the DNA in your body, it would reach to the sun and back more than 300 times. And another amazing insight, human bones are about 5 times stronger than the steel, of the same density. A piece of bone the size of a matchbook can bear up to 9 tons of weight. Isn't it interesting?
Camera, action. Mr. President, we're live.
My fellow citizens, today I want to speak with you about the risks of using digital platforms post-RSA decryption. The apps and tech in your smartphones, laptops, desktops and other devices have now become vulnerable to data theft and subsequently have become dangerous for you and your families. Therefore, as a preventive measure, from this day forth, usage of these devices is strictly banned in the country till further notice. Also, the police will no longer be entertaining cases of cyber fraud since, in all honesty, they have no way of tracking down the criminals. For the protection of our livelihoods, we are effectively entering a digital lockdown. May God bless you and may God bless our nation. Thank you. Now, in case you're wondering what just happened, we'll get to that in a bit. Firstly, I need to tell you that the year is 2034. Digitalization is at its peak. Everything relies on gadgets and the internet. Even currencies have become completely digitalized. As for our story right here, it mainly relies on 3 characters. Firstly, a young, glory-hungry hacker. Prometheus is his name. Secondly, we have an all-knowing, grace-gifted Baba. And last, but by no means the least, we have...
These foreigners, man, I swear they got on my nerves sometimes. And last but not least, Osama bin Laden, leader and founder of digital terrorist organization Al-Qaeda. Note that Prometheus was offered a great sum of money for completion of a top secret task by the greatest terrorist organization on this planet, Al-Qaeda. We also have 2 side characters, a father and a kid. But now what you must see are the events that took place 24 hours before the president's announcement. Prometheus? Where is that damn hacker, Prometheus?
I'm here.
Prometheus, I swear if you don't come here in 3, 2.
Yeah, I had forgotten my gear.
How much more time will it take, techie boy? I'm starting to doubt your expertise on the matter.
Just a few more hours, Supreme Leader, and the encryption technology upon which the whole wide world depends, RSA, will be cracked.
Hours? You want to lose a kneecap or something?
Oh, alright, chill out, I'll give it more power. Zip.
How does this Western trickery work anyways?
Oh, Bing login is not trickery. RSA works by using prime factors of large integers as keys. Even the world's strongest supercomputers can only dream of cracking it. Decoding it is like finding a needle in a haystack. But as it turns out, with the right tools, like this quantum computer right here, you can just pull the needle out. Anyways, we're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I've done it! I've cracked RSA. Unfathomable power. With this big login, you can bring the world to its knees.
Ha 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 ha! And as promised, you will get your money. Now, the following are the events that took place 1 week after RSA had been decrypted by Prometheus.
Man, it's been so long since I've met the squad. But I heard they're going to be at the mall today. But I spent all my money on that game last week. Oh, but that's no issue. I can just get Dad to send me some, right? Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Training.
Hello?
Yo, Dad, I needed some money for school. Could you please send me $500? I've sent you my UPI ID through WhatsApp.
I'm not sure about that, son. Did you hear the president's warning? They're saying digital transactions are on a lockdown. I'm not sure it's safe.
Dad, come on, it's WhatsApp. WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted. Of course it's safe. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if you're sure, son, I'll send you the money. Beep, beep. Send.
Thanks, Dad. You're the best.
Boop. What? 20 lakhs debited from your account? No. This can't be. That's my entire life savings. My kids. My family, what will I do? I have to pay my daughter's college tuition and my son's school fee. This can't be. Oh, the police. No. Even the police won't be able to do something. Why, God? Why did you let this happen? Curse the damn hacker that did this.
Ah, my blood boils! What did Dad get you to deserve that? I swear to God, if I get my hands on that hacker that did this, I'll leak his IP mess. Wait a minute. I did this. Oh my God, what have I become? For the sake of glory, I've crossed the line. Cracking codes, stealing secrets, but at what cost? That kid just wanted some money from his dad. A simple transaction. Yet those fiends at Al-Qaeda, those terrorists, it's all their fault. No. I caused this. For money and fame, I gave them power I didn't understand myself. But I do now. And it's time to make things right. I can't be part of the problem anymore. But how to do that? It's impossible. Going back to reason with that terrorist, it's like putting my head in a noose. But what other alternative is there? Encryption is one thing, but developing new decryption tech? It needs a scientific breakthrough. It needs years and years, and God, will I never be able to atone for my sins?
The solution lies in the waters.
The waters? And what does that even mean? Baba blockchain! Baba, I need you, Baba. Baba, you came at the perfect time, Baba.
I'll help you, my son. I'll help you.
Baba, I've caused so much trouble. I've decrypted RSA.
I already know your problem, my son. What you need to understand is that the solution lies in the genesis of your problem. Imagine you're on a big island, and how you get around this island depends on how good you are at solving scientific problems.
Oh.
Earlier, when humanity had no computers, things like astronomy and geometry took forever. It was analogous to merely walking on this map. But as humanity progressed, Early computers were able to solve some complex problems that unlocked new areas on this island.
So, I'm guessing that made life much easier and helped us navigate through this island much faster. Almost like now we're riding horses instead of walking everywhere.
Exactly. But luckily, computers kept getting better and better. And modern day computers can solve far more complex problems than we could ever dream of solving earlier. That means that we shifted from horses to cars which travel on roads and highways. And as a result, we can now access all parts of this island.
And I am guessing quantum computers fit into this analogy as if they were boats, because they are not necessarily a faster way of traveling this island of ours. Instead, they help us travel through completely different terrain.
Exactly. Quantum computers are like boats. What you need to understand is that quantum computers are not better versions of regular computers. They work with completely different mechanics. What you need to do is venture through these seas and discover quantum key distribution, a method of data encryption which is safe from quantum and regular computers alike.
Bombacla, that's why you said the solution. Bhava blockchain, Bhava blockchain.
Prometheus went on to discover quantum key distribution, a method of data encryption which is safe from both regular and quantum computers.
His story of science, realization and comeuppance was immortalized on the internet.
He was hailed as a hero.
As for us, we're both glad that you listened to our story today. Thank you.
Well done, Team 18. That was a remarkable blend of creativity and scientific thought.
Now, I would like to invite team number 19. Show us your best. And I would also like to request team number 13 to be ready. Team number 13 and team number 8 to be ready. You can also tell us if you have any specific requirements.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we are not here to tell you a boring sci-fi. Instead, we are here to take you to an adventure, but not a normal adventure. So let us all fasten our seatbelts and get ready to see the uncanny encounter of a little being.
Mom, look, I got the mail. It is said as she showed her mother the email sent by ISRO. I've got to start packing now because I will be going to the space for the research project I have been selected for. It is said as she jumped in excitement as it was one of her dreams to go travel the space and look beyond the Earth's limited environment. She was really interested in physical science since her childhood. Eris had a peculiar dream of viewing the Earth from the space and also finding about the things beyond the human reach. But one problem always troubled her deep in her heart. Why we, the educated and resourceful human beings, are exploiting our Mother Earth, even when we know the harms of it. Though it is tried to research for some suitable solution for these problems, such as ecocide, pollution, global warming, but sadly, due to lack of technology and cooperation, she was not very successful in this. Hence, she decided to fulfill her second dream, which was to view the Earth from the space. After 3 days, she finally bid farewell to her mother and headed straight to the airport to catch a flight to Bengaluru. All along the flight, she was wondering about some questions, like what would happen to her when she would reach the space? Will she even be able to make it? Will the Earth appear the same as she saw in the pictures? And many more. All these thoughts were rumbling inside her head, but there was no turning back at this point. Eris reached Bengaluru in no time and went straight to the headquarters. On May 18, almost at around 4:30 p.m., it was the day. Eris, along with the fellow team members, was sitting inside the space shuttle. All of them were anxious and excited at the same time and didn't want their years of efforts to go in vain. All of a sudden, the buzzer rang for the countdown of the launch. They all were taking deep breath and were mentally preparing themselves for the speculative enterprise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The spacecraft launched, followed by a deafening roar. It was swiftly streaking through the sky and into the space. After a few moments, when they successfully settled their spacecraft into space, all of them again took a deep breath, which was minutely different from the prior one. It was nothing in short of an awe-inspiring experience for them. The stars twinkle like diamonds, scattered across like sequins on the dark cloth of the universe. The view of the earth from the space was spectacular. The vibrant blue oceans, the lush green continents, and the screams of white clouds sewn together sketched out the beauty and serenity of our Mother Earth. It also made Eris, along with the team members, appreciate the delicate balance of our planet and also the need for preserving it for the future generations even more. After months of researching and spending a remarkable time in space, it was finally the time. They had to come back. All of them were again tensed. And again the typical countdown began to start the landing process. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The spacecraft was coming towards the Earth with the speed of 364 kilometers per hour. But abruptly, the red light went on. It was blinking continuously, indicating something was not right. The atmosphere in the space shuttle became tense. Eris was continuously thinking about her mother and was wishing to see her for the last time if she died now. All of a sudden, everything went black for her. And the next moment, when she opened her eyes, what she saw blew her mind. She saw that people had become immensely huge, almost till around 15 to 20 feet, and was speaking in a language which Eris was not familiar with. Hello, Eris said with terror. All of them were speaking to her in maybe one of their native languages, but Eris couldn't even understand a word of it. Eris was feeling like a tiny creature in between giants and was hoping to go back home away from all of these creatures and rest her head on her mother's lap. But there was something contrasting in this situation. These creatures, instead of harming or horrifying the little being, were actually treating her like a kid. Eris, confused at the moment, sensed a glimmer of humanity and kindness among them, and hence decided to go with the tide and started to behave like an actual toddler, and also started to communicate with them through gestures. Luckily, this resulted positively. One of them, being a woman, maybe in her 20s, came forward and held Eris in her hand. Eris tried to gesture the lady about her mother leaving her and her at the moment having no other place to live. The kind woman, feeling pity for Eris, decided to take her to her house. On the way, Eris was glancing around her surroundings and was comparing these giants With us, humans, they're tiny creatures. Not only were these giants very tall, but they also had a variety of complexions. Though most of them had the normal skin color, but some of them even had a reddish to yellowish tone, which Eris found the most compatible tone for them. But still in this situation, something was again.
It was the environment and the ecosystem, along with the air pollution, littering on the streets, and all the problems that our Mother Earth was also facing. But something was different. A large pole-like structure was erected after certain distances, which had a scale that calculated the air pollution level of a certain region for a specified time, till the level became normal. Another thing she saw was that almost all the houses were covered with plants and greenery was everywhere. Eris suddenly felt that she had, as the lady who helped Eris live near the shore, Eris got the chance to see the vast blue ocean stretched out merging with the sky on the distant horizon. But something was unusual. A large pillar was constructed near the water body, which whenever detected litter on the shore or in the water body, through computer vision sent signals to a drone, which then located the trash and picked it up with the help of its claw-like structured hand. A special sensor, which almost looked like a cloud, was set up above the fields or gardens, which too with the help of computer vision or cameras was able to determine when the crops or soil required water. As the lady who helped Eris lived near, Eris was astonished to see all of these because almost everywhere strict rules were implemented and people too were happily abiding them. She was in a dilemma about whether what she saw was a dream or an uncanny encounter with her unconscious self. Thank you.
Done, Team 18. You did a very good job.
Please welcome Team 13 to the stage. We can't wait to hear the story.
Good morning all. Myself Ayana and myself Meera, the students of Hansraj Public School, Panchkula, have tried to find a solution for the global problem of increasing sea levels and decreasing land areas through our science fiction story. The title of our story is Floración, that means blooming in Spanish.
The centuries-old inexorable truth has become a fatal reality in the year 2145. The story begins when planet Earth is no longer 71% water, but 100% water, as due to an increase in Earth's overall temperature and constantly rising water levels, the land on planet Earth has completely submerged underwater, and hence it falls upon us humans to find ways to survive underwater. All of humanity, or whatever's left of it, has taken refuge in a handful of huge ships, but these ships aren't convenient and sufficient for continuous habitation. The huge waves are a constant threat as they wobble the ship and cause seasickness to the passengers on board.
Through years of extensive research, Dr. Amara and her team are closing in to finding ways to help humans, a few animals and bird species to live in and out of water. These researches include helping build ships, propagate aquaculture and advance the medical care. For all the work Dr. Amara and her team are doing so zealously, they are given the honor to even choose a name for this underwater world, and they aptly name it Floración. Dr. Amara and her team began their experiments a decade ago, when every piece of land except tall mountains like Mount Everest began to submerge.
They predicted that the adaptations in human physiology would include more subcutaneous fat, that is under the skin fat, large efficient lungs, slow metabolism, translucent eyelids, large sinuses to sense underwater vibration or sound, elongated and webbed digits, so on. So, they created an aid for humans with predicted adaptations and named it Kai, which means sea in Hawaiian language. Dr. Amara even tested the Kai suit on herself. She wanted to break away from the whole mermaid fantasy and create something a little more plausible to make life possible underwater with the capability of going on land too.
The team was creating stuff that could support the predicted adaptations for underwater human life. Dr. Amara had divided her team into two parts. One team was working towards aquaculture to have a steady and varied supply of food, and the other team was responsible for the supply of oxygen and medical care. After months of research, Dr. Amara and her team have succeeded in growing everything from tomatoes to courgettes, beans, mushrooms, lettuce, orchids, and aloe vera plants using hydroponic techniques.
The day finally came when one group was sent to the underwater city. Everything was being primed with the last-minute checks. The people were being prepared for what to expect when they reached there and how to make the adaptation to their new environment easier. Dr. Amara was herself present there to ensure the success of this pilot team. She was calming any jittery nerves or addressing any concerns that the group might have. With the submarine now ready to dive, Dr. Amara bid adieu to the group and went back to her lab to check on some reports.
As Florecion was becoming a reality, news came of land resurfacing due to drop in carbon emissions near Kanchenjunga. A team of scientists are promptly sent to get more details on it. Dr. Amara was hopeful that the land resurfacing was a positive sign that the Earth could regain its earlier status in the future. The lead scientist on the Kanchenjunga team, Dr. Advik, confirmed that the land had signs of life on it, but in microscopic forms only. This was the gleam of hope Dr. Amara wanted. She asked Dr. Advik to continue the tests and keep a lookout for any such land upheavals in the vicinity.
Meanwhile, the group that had went to Florecion were adapting well to their new environment. With their new adaptations, the people seemed to be able to go about their day-to-day lives without facing many hardships. Although food was still something that was going to take some time getting used to due to the limited choices as of now, but they were revamping with what they had. All in all, Mission Kai was a success so far.
On reaching back, the team briskly started testing the samples collected from the land near Kanchenjunga. Now, efforts were being made to determine the possibility, if any, of having life back on Earth. The team was in delight and surprise to see that the soil had microscopic presence of rocks in it and some unicellular life forms too. There was still hope of having life on planet Earth after all.
While Dr. Amara and Dr. Advik were running more tests on the samples from Kanchenjunga, news came of several land resurfacing from across the planet. Small batches of scientists were sent to these sites to collect more specimens. When they reached back, there were tests run on the collected specimens to see if any of them had somewhat similar formation to the soil from Kanchenjunga. While the initial tests failed to get any such outcome, later multiple sites sand revealed signs of life and rock deposits in them. Dr. Amara was now hopeful of life on planet Earth. She had also to confirm that all such land resurfacing had solid foundations for future human sustenance. Hence, no more adaptation for underwater life was needed, and Kai was left for emergencies. But there was an alternative now, to either live in the water or back on the land. This sure was great, all thanks to the hard work and long hours in the lab put in by Dr. Amara and her team.
Plans were now being etched on how to snowball preparations for making the land resurfacing habitable again. It was like humanity had been given a second chance to right their wrongs and start all over again, to make planet Earth livable yet again. Such incidents ought to put things into perspective, for humans to stop overutilization and overabuse of natural resources. Otherwise, Mother Nature is bound to retaliate.
And as Alex Tabarrok once said,
The term natural resources confuses people. Natural resources are not like a finite number of gifts under the Christmas tree. Nature is given, but resources are created.
Thank you.
Fantastic job, Team 13. Your presentation was truly scientific and inspiring.
Now let's welcome Team 8 to the stage. We cannot wait to hear your story. I would also like to say that team number 1 and 3 to be ready for their presentation.
On the cold evening of October 14th, 1983, Christopher was walking back home. He looked really tired and unhappy. Upon reaching his home, he opened his door. He found his wife inside. His wife looked at his face and found that something was really wrong about him. She asked him, "What had happened, Christopher?" Christopher replied, saying that, "I had been working on my engine design, which I planned to use in flying cars, but it just does not seem to work. I cannot do it." His wife reassures him, saying that he just needs patience to do it and he'll come out successful. But Christopher just loses hope behind that research and decides to go back and focus more on his job. He goes to sleep. The next day, he drops his son to the school and then goes back to his college where he teaches. At his college, his colleagues are more than happy that day. Christopher mistakenly thinks that they made a breakthrough in his engine design, but the reality is different. He asks his colleagues what had happened and why were they so happy. His colleagues reply him and saying that the government has made a volunteer program. They want volunteers for a cryogenic sleep experiment, which is supposed to be 6 months long. They suggest Christopher to apply for the program. Christopher himself thinks of his personal benefits. He really wants to be a part of this program, and he soon submits the application through a letter. Few days passes, nothing happens. Then, Christopher receives a letter. It is said to be from the government, and once he opens it, he is thrilled with the news. He was accepted for the volunteer program. The letter instructed him to reach the state university in the country's capital. He tells everyone about it and they all celebrate. It does not take long for a curious man like Christopher to reach the state university. Upon reaching the university premises, Christopher finds professionals from different backgrounds and different fields. He enjoys talking with them and even top researchers from around the world. And soon, the day of the experiment arrives. Christopher is sent through medical procedures. He is carefully placed in the sleeping pod and his eyes closed as well as the lid of the sleeping pod, which puts him into a deep slumber. This was supposed to be only 6 months. Well, the reality is not that. For Christopher, waking up and going to sleep is almost instantaneous, but for the world, a lot would have changed. The moment arrives after a long delay when Christopher wakes up. He regains consciousness as well as his metabolism. As soon as he's taken out of the cryogenic sleeping pod and put in a laboratory, where he's sent through medical procedures again. Finally, he opens his eyes. Upon opening his eyes, his vision is at first blurred, and then it clears out. He sees a lot of researchers around the room, a lot of instruments and advanced lab. Well, as the researchers noticed in that room that Christopher is opening his eyes, they quickly surround him in happiness that the experiment was a success. Christopher and the researchers start talking. Then, Christopher asks a question. "What is the date today?" The researchers reply in a serious face and a deep voice that it's May 27th, 2136. Christopher says that it's a nice joke and they should just tell him the real date instead, but the researchers say that it is indeed 2136. Christopher looks around his room. He's stunned. His heart skips a beat. He looks around and he finds a small camera. He picks up the camera and he wonders to himself that why are there no wires connected to the camera and why is it so small, the size of his thumb. He looks above, he finds different kinds of lights. He looks back and he finds a computer which was reading his brain, reading his thoughts. He's completely stunned. As everyone almost starts leaving the room, Christopher finds a man is entering the room. He's looking at Christopher and smiling at him. Christopher politely asks for the man's name as he's being uncomfortable. The man replies, "Magnus. Great-grandfather, how are you feeling?" Christopher is stunned in shock with this statement. He replies saying that there is absolutely no way that he is his grandfather, his great-grandfather. They both are of the same age, which is 37 years old. But then Magnus says that, great-grandfather, you're not 37 years old, you're 190 years old. Christopher is completely out of his mind. He asks him what has happened, and one doctor in the room says that, please don't panic, sir, we'll tell you the reality soon. Magnus asks Christopher to follow him in the hallway. At first Christopher hesitates, but he then follows him. In the hallway, they finally start talking normally. Christopher to himself thinks that he's finally free of the past, because looking at all the advancements around him, researchers, their serious face, he believes to himself that he is really in the year 2136. Then Christopher asks a question to Magnus. Why was I asleep for so long? Magnus replies saying that, sir, there was a fatal flaw in the system the researchers had designed to get you back to life. And that's why it took 150 years to just get you up safely. We just wanted your safety. Christopher is stunned again, and he thinks to himself what the future might be like. In the hallway, they meet a doctor on their way who takes a scan of Christopher's health once again and finds everything fine. But looking at Christopher's facial expressions and his heart rate, he takes the conclusion that he's just way too overwhelmed with what is happening and advises Magnus to take him outside. Christopher and Magnus go outside the research facility. Outside, Christopher is just shocked. He is speechless. He's just left speechless. Tall skyscrapers, futuristic roads, flying cars everywhere. He just cannot imagine it. Then, Christopher looks at the flying cars once again and something caught his attention. What was it? Christopher says to Magnus that these were the exact flying cars that I was working on before I went to cryogenic sleep. How come they are over there? Did someone steal my research papers? Magnus says, calm down. Great-grandfather, when you went away and your son grew up, he looked at your research papers and found the cause of the problem. He worked more onto it, fixing it, and published a research paper by your name. And then he even started a company to manufacture these flying cars. And everything went well after that. Christopher feels really proud for his son at that moment. He thanks him for all the respect he gave, even though he was not there. Then Magnus guides Christopher to his flying car. Christopher asks another question. How did you guys manage to prevent global warming even though you use so much of energy? These cars are still using fossil fuels, jet fuel, all of these things. Magnus replies saying that, great-grandfather, let's tell you something interesting. We had a technique called Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, and we created a machine to efficiently take in the carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide in the atmosphere, mix it with some hydrogen in a tank under a catalyst, heat it all up to 300 degrees Celsius under the sun, and boom, you get the very fossil fuel you just burned. And that's how we have saved the environment for so long. Christopher is really shocked with this. He has no words. This was completely unexpected for him. He thought that e-cars would take over the world, but they did not. It's the complete opposite. He expects the unexpected now.
Christopher asks Magnus the rate of cheeseburgers. He was really hungry. Come on, the man didn't eat anything for over a century. So they both land over a restaurant, and then they go inside, and Christopher was shocked. He saw a touchpad on the table. Magnus guided Christopher to order his food. Christopher clicked an icon on the touchpad, and then in just mere 3 minutes the food arrived. A robot came in with the food. Christopher was astonished with the integration of robots and technology in the human life. When it was time for them to go, Christopher asked Magnus to pay the bill because he didn't have any money on him. Magnus said that the food is free. Christopher was stunned. Christopher asked that how's that even possible? Magnus tells him that humans, just a few decades ago, found a technology to create their own food with the help of artificial photosynthesis. In this process, we use gases, water to create food and then 3D print it. Christopher was really proud of what humanity has achieved, Then he later gets to know that his grandson is actually alive. He wanted to meet him and want to know about what all things his son did. Christopher ordered Magnus to take him straight to his grandson. Then the two of them go to Magnus's home, where Christopher and Magnus live happily ever. And the very house was built by Christopher's own son, which had been waiting for him over a century. Then it was an amazing day for Christopher, sleeping and waking up to see 100 years past. Thank you.
Impressive storytelling, teammate. Your narrative was rich with scientific insight. Now, I would request Team 1 to come and share your vision with us. And meanwhile, Team 3 and 10 to get ready.
A warm and pleasant morning to one and all present here. Myself, Namna Dhiman.
And I am Kausa Sarma.
Of 10th grade, we are eagerly waiting to start a presentation on a science fiction story, which was our own imagination.
The title is The Mind Transfer, A New Frontier.
In the year 3000, there was a polarized world. The world was divided into two cities, the north and the south. In the north city, it was governed by AI, and somewhere its advancement was the only cause of its destruction. As you may see, in the north city, only the machines were prioritized. There was nothing other than that. Humanity did. And in the south city, people governed the AI. AI knew what to do, and somewhere you can see that while it achieves lots of life.
In this polarized world, in South City lived a family, the Patel family. Their eldest son, Arjun, was a prodigy, and he had an IQ that surpassed even the brightest scholars. However, his younger brother, Ravi, was born with a disability that made him unable to walk. But Arjun loved his brother Ravi very much. He often redesigned his own toys so that they suit Ravi's needs.
Things were going well until the Patels family took a devastating turn when they found out that the elder son Arjun was diagnosed with a neurodegenerational disease, which doctor described as fatal. There was no escape from this disease other than death, with 0% chances of recovery.
Desperate and looking for a solution, the Patel family then made an appointment with the renowned neuroscientist, Dr. Herrera Min. She had an advanced technology that was NeuroRing. This cutting-edge technology helped paralyzed children to walk, and it also helped in transferring one's mind into another's mind.
Since Arjun had only limited bits left, but a lot of dreams he wanted to come true. The family was very haunted by the loss of Arjun, so they wanted to make an appointment with the doctor. Both of the brothers were ready, but somewhere Ravi hesitated for a second as he was disabled. Will he be able to fulfill his brother's dream? Will he do so? The doctor consulted him. She told him about 3D printing. My dear, you will be fine soon. Now your disability will be your strongest part.
The Patel family saw in awe as the state-of-the-art 3D printing technology redesigned Ravi's neural pathway, adapting with Arjun's brilliance.
On the day of the surgery, the white walls of Dr. Ilaiah's cabin only echoed with Arjun's heartbeat. They felt he was surrounded by a lot of machines and fickling, but it was the only hope left for the family, as the son was already disabled and one was about to transfer his mind into Arjun's.
After the operation, there was a violent eruption of energy.
It was an unexpected radio wave from the North City,
and it, merged with Arjun's brilliance, came into Ravi's mind. Due to this, Ravi's mind had now the darker aspects of North City's AI.
When Ravi got to know about all this, the family was already dealing with the devastating loss of Arjun. And when Ravi awoke from the procedure, he saw that his body was healed, but internally he was in a struggle with himself. He was battling against the part of Arjun that was already connected to the dark sides of the North AI's aspects.
Ravi was disturbed by his brother's past. He then explored the world and he came across tough moral questions, but he answered them all logically. However, when he saw the North City's AI controlling people, he decided to make a new city with combining the good sides of both the cities.
It was Arjun's dream to get a city which had the advantages of both the cities, the North City's AI advancements that would actually help humans, and the emotions and feelings that South City's people advanced in.
However, after discovering a terrifying truth that the North City's AI had great fear of human emotions and feelings.
When Arjun found out and he worked on it, he never looked back. He just had an invincible spirit and hit. He wanted to make his brother's dream come true. He made a slogan for it.
Adapt or left behind.
There was an army of people behind him. They also wanted the change. Ravi wasn't leader, but with Arjun's mindset, Ravi leaded everyone, and finally somewhere the epic showdown started.
During the epic showdown, Ravi unleashed the power of human ingenuity with the precision of AI. They then defeated the AI overlords of the North City and then restored balance. And they also made a new city where technology didn't control humans, but they helped humans. But can we get to the ending?
Yeah, ending for sure. Ravi was now a symbol of hope between the two completely opposite worlds. While he would never replace his brother, he honored Arjun's memory each day, carrying the weight of brilliance woven into the very fabrics of whom he was. Together, they had not just transformed his own life, but the lives of countless others. And in the end, it wasn't just the legacy of genius that triumphed over, but the beautiful imperfection of humanity that prevailed against all odds. And that's how a Neuralink changed the lives of thousands of people living there. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Team 1. Your ideas were both innovative and scientifically sound. I would now like to request team numbers 10 and 6 to get ready.
Roll number 26. Where's your report? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, I have it. I'm sorry. Actually, who are you? Where's your iCard going? Sorry, ma'am, sorry. Yes, the report. Do you really think you can save the world with those latex gloves? It's about saving it, not holding it. The scene cuts and everything goes black. The air was thick with anticipation as Asha held her breath, eyes darting to her phone every now and then, reading the all-clear notification with a mixture of relief and dread. A single thought ran through her mind. This is the only chance to make things right. 30 years ago, the sound of roaring fans filled the Lusail Stadium, where millions witnessed the face-off between Argentina and France in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. A reporter exclaimed, "This is the most anticipated match of the year. We're in for an exciting one, folks." But as the game reached halftime, the atmosphere shifted. A low hum spread through the stadium. Without warning, the lights went out.
Wait! FIFA World Cup, FIFA! But what is that? What is that?
The lights went out, plunging the arena into darkness. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd, but were halted when a bright light in the sky commanded everyone's attention. A metallic object descended, landing with a heavy
thud on the field. Security rushed to the scene, guiding the crowd out, as a bewildered reporter stammered, "Well, I guess someone took the idea of an exciting game too seriously." Over the next few days, rumors swirled, speculations ran wild, and the mystery soon reached the UN, where delegates gathered from around the world to discuss the mysterious device. Scientists cautiously approached its sleek body as they began probing it to find clues. Suddenly, the lights turned on, beginning with a low hum and soon shooting a bright light out to form a holographic projection. The holographic projection was of a woman, middle-aged, maybe older, with the weight of worry on her face. She began with a grave tone, "Hoping this is the year 2022, you must listen to me carefully, for my words could change everything." Yes, ma'am, continuing with the presentation. Apologies. This child. She continued, explaining that beneath Antarctica's frosty surface lay a dormant threat unleashed by climate change. A bacteria.
You need to be more engaging, beta. Come on.
A bacteria called sophisma. Its sophisma thread would spread through the oceans and infiltrate ecosystems globally. Sophisma, she said, alters the human mind. It heightens logic at the cost of empathy, suppressing emotions and creating a world where people aren't even able to connect to each other. At first it seemed like a gift, but we soon realized what a curse it was. Relationships crumbled, people became isolated. Sophisma doesn't just affect the body, it affects the soul. As the transmission crackled, Asha glanced over her shoulder, distracted by an off-screen sound. Moments later, she returned. "You must listen to me. This is your only chance to make things right. Stop the glacier from melting. Prevent sophisma from spreading, and the fate of humanity rests in your hands." With those words, her image began to flicker, the hologram cutting off abruptly. In 2024, a global race began to prevent the Therwatis Glacier from melting. Scientists and leaders from all over the world began working tirelessly to avert Asha's grim future. But a fight against fate is not easy. The glacier melted and sophisma was unleashed, just as Asha has predicted. 30 years later, the year is now 2054, Asha stood in her lab, burdened by the weight of a world that she failed to save. Her mind, it was sharp but haunted in her old age. A memory flashed through her head. Her inspiration for all this madness, the only reason she was able to spend months at a time in a lab. Her brother was affected by sophisma. She had to see him one last time before she altered the past. Donning her coat, she stepped out of the lab into a desolate world, the occasional autumn leaf crunching under her boots. Wait, where is my report? Look at the carelessness. She reached her brother's apartment and the door opened to reveal a man, spitting image of Asha, maybe a few years younger. She shifted to let her inside and an awkward air filled the room. How long has it been since she saw her own brother? Oliver, she started nervously, how have you been? Asha's lighter, hopeful eyes met her brother's cold, calculating gaze. All right, he said, tone efficient. That's it? That's all you've got? Asha's voice rose. What else would I say? Oliver replied flatly, turning back to the window. Asha's voice, thick with emotion. I'm doing this for you, Oliver. Every day, every moment, trying to bring back what we lost, to bring you back. There's nothing to bring back. What you see is flesh and blood. I'm already dead, and soon enough you'll be too. Just give up. Stunned, Asha's anger flared. Memories of their childhood, fights over games, helping him with homework, flooded her mind. Her hand jerked out before dropping back to her side, his indifference crushing her. You're just going to stand there, act like you don't care, she demanded, veins popping in her forehead. I don't. and I wouldn't if I was you. You don't get to say that to me, Asha said sternly. You're my brother. No virus will change that. I will fix this, even if I have to drag you back from wherever you've dug yourself into. Oliver tilted his head dismissively, but Asha wasn't done. You think this is over? Think again. You may have given up on yourself, but I haven't. As Asha retraced her steps to the lab, her hurried footsteps now carried purpose. Activating her time device, she sent her hologram message back to 2022. A strange sense of déjà vu hit her. Had she done this before? Memories blurred and fragments of alternate timelines rushed past her head, and suddenly a voice reverberated around her. Subject, Asha Ronan, stimulation complete. What is going on? Wait, I need to fix this. Wait. The sterile lab around her dissolved, revealing a clinical testing room. She blinked, disoriented, as automations removed electrodes from her head. Congratulations, Asha. You have successfully completed the emotional resilience test, a voice remarked. Your response to stimulated adversity has been noted. What do you mean stimulation? I need to go back! Asha's eyes scanned the stark white room looking for a clue. Oliver must be here too, she thought, her voice shaking. My apologies, Miss Ronan. While you have done excellent in your stimulation, you are not ready to leave. She slumped back, blankly staring at the wall, the words in her mind echoing as she struggled to accept them. I need to fix this. I need to go back. Why have you kept me here? It took her a week for her denial to change to numbness. I am not doing this. I am not doing this. Get me back. What do you mean? What do you mean stimulation? After a week, the automations guided her to an office. As the automation started a video of a man on the screen who looked quite familiar to the girl, her curiosity surged. She straightened and listened intently. My dear, I want to begin with an apology, though I had no other choice. What you saw, sophisma and its effects, it's inevitable. Our emotions, empathy, kindness, and love that ground us to this world, but we often overlook their worth until they're gone, leaving us with the worst parts of ourselves. Global warming feeds our grief, poverty and hunger. It's a reflection of our ignorance. Your stimulation was meant to reveal this. Life filled with cold precision and under the illusion of choice. I'm done. Thank you. Well, that was nice. Thank you people for hearing the story.
3. You showcased a fantastic understanding of scientific concepts. Now I would like to invite team number 10 on the stage, and I would like to request team number 6 and team number 14 to get ready for your presentation. Just to kindly note, now we have invited team number 10.
Hi Rishabh.
Hi Amishi.
Do you want to play dumb charades?
Sure.
So I'll act and you have to guess.
Alright. Hindi. 2 words. The first word. You're writing something. Okay, the second word. 3, 7, 0. 370. Okay. Now the first word. You're writing an article. Oh, article 370.
Good morning everyone. I am Amishi Gupta.
Good morning everyone. My name is Rishabh Sharma.
And I know you all must be wondering, why are we playing dumb charades here?
My dear friends, we are taking you through the journey of a girl who won against all odds.
Sophia sat at the bustling cafe, staring at the lip movements of her friends, feeling a familiar wave of frustration wash over her. Conversations around her blended into a jumble of silent mouth movements, none of which she could keep up with. In fast-paced environments like this, lip reading was an impossible task.
People spoke too quickly, interrupted each other, and often turned their heads away as they talked. Even when her friends tried to slow down, it was never enough for Sophia to feel fully engaged. Sometimes,
People even made fun of her, but she couldn't do anything about it. Why can't there be an easier way for people like me, she wondered.
That night, Sophia tossed and turned, her mind swirling with ideas. But none of them had the potential to bridge the gap between her world and the world around. She wondered, instead of lip reading and rely on others to communicate, what if she could see conversations?
How can we see conversations? What are you talking about, Amishi?
I'll tell you. Over the next few weeks, she was totally consumed by the idea. She spent her every free moment in a small apartment, turning it into a makeshift lab. Her desk was all cluttered with AR lenses, tiny microphones and circuit boards. But after so much determination, she managed to get a working system that could transcribe speech with near-perfect accuracy.
Transcribe speech? What does that mean?
Transcribing speech means converting speech as text by integrating software with AR glasses.
And what are AR glasses now?
AR is augmented reality. The glasses needed to display the text on the lens without obstructing the wearer's view of the real world.
Wow, that's amazing. But Sophia's biggest hurdle came with background noise. In noisy environments, the microphone often picked up too much chatter, making the transcriptions messy and confusing.
Oh.
Yes, she dove into deep research on noise cancellation technology and eventually developed a solution.
What solution?
They were directional microphones that cancelled all the useless background noise and filtered out only the relevant sounds.
Brilliant!
After sleepless nights, countless prototypes, Sophia finally had a working version of...
Of what? Could you all guess till now? Okay, Rishabh, please tell us.
Of the Hear Clear glasses. They were the glasses that could transcribe speech into text in real time.
Excited to share her invention with the world, she decided to put these glasses on a test, a family reunion.
Sophia entered a living room filled with the sounds of her relatives, laughing and talking. She felt an unusual knot form in her stomach, but with a deep breath, she put on the glasses and adjusted them. And almost instantly, her brother's voice was transcribed onto the lens. Sophia, it's been so long. How have you been?
Sophia's eyes widened, as if she could see his words written on the air. I've been good, just busy, she replied. As the conversations continued, the text flowed smoothly onto the glasses. This is the first time she didn't have to ask anyone to slow down. Sophia followed everyone in real time, something she had never done before.
The word about Hear Clear glasses spread quickly. Sophia shared her invention with the deaf community and the response was overwhelming. Sophia was able to bridge the gap between her world and the world of hearing.
Soon, major tech companies took interest in Sophia's innovation. As it was available to the public, it revolutionized the way people with hearing impairments navigated the world. Even schools began using them to help deaf students follow lessons in real time.
But for Sophia, these glasses were not just an invention, they were a lifeline. They even empowered millions of people like Sophia, who for the longest time had felt disconnected from the hearing world. These glasses became a symbol of innovation and inclusion, proving that with the right technology, the barriers between us can be broken.
Years later, as she stood on the stage at a major tech conference, accepting an award for innovation, in her acceptance speech, she said, "Technology should not just be about making life easier. It should be about making life fair for everyone."
And so, Sophia transformed her loneliness into a powerhouse, as she believed in Jodi tur dakshini kyun na ashi tobe ekla chalo re.
So we conclude by saying one song can spark the movement and one flower can wake the dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 10. Team 6. Your story combined creativity and scientific reasoning beautifully.
Here comes Team 14. Take us on a journey. Share your vision with us. Judges to kindly note, it's now Team 14.
The admirable judges, the esteemed audience, and my fellow competitors.
Today, I, Mane Gupta, along with my teammate Dishita Verma, are going to present a compelling story titled A Race to the Brain.
There once was a girl with skin tinted the same hue as the Indian soil and long locks as black as the night sky. She had a joyous sparkle in her eyes which always caught everyone's attention. Her name was Anaya. Her dreams were sky high for her little 4'11" frame. She, quite like her mother, was an ambitious little fellow and often talked about how she wanted to be India's greatest scientist who never gave up. For a part of her childhood, her mother would tell her tales about Shaktiman and his endeavors against all harm and evil. It wasn't until the age of 15 when her mother had a permanent silence on her lips and Shaktiman's ventures were only a part of the sorrowful past.
Anaya was brave-hearted and iron-willed, and instead of letting her mother's demise discourage her, she turned it into her biggest strength. She hailed from a small village, and her desire to make a whole village proud only made her dream of becoming a scientist all the more important. She went to the city for further studies, and amidst her preparation and exams, she never forgot about the tales of Shaktiman. Nevertheless, she rarely talked about Shaktiman and the incidents her mother had told her about.
One day, a knock on the door made her realize that all her hard work had paid off. She was working on her biggest theory yet. On the door, it was the postman, bearing an invitation inviting Anaya to present her new therapy at a big seminar tonight. Anaya was ecstatic and she started frantically preparing for the big night. When she got on the seminar, it was all things big and shiny. Standing on the stage, the sparkle in her eyes had worked its magic. To put it simply, how it works is, we collect T cells from a subject, re-engineer them in the laboratory to produce chimeric antigen receptors, hence the name CAR-T on their surface, which combine, react and recognize certain proteins and antigens on cancer cells, helping us detect cancer and serving as an alternate treatment.
With these words, Anaya took the crowd by storm and ended the night. The auditorium thundered with applause, all to Anaya's name. In that very moment, Anaya felt euphoric. She knew that the very moment she dreamt of had finally come true, making her village and her family proud.
Seeing his daughter carve her name gold in science world, Anaya's father, overwhelmed with emotion, decided to give his daughter a surprise visit after almost a decade. Seeing her father, Anaya finally felt complete. She went on and on about her life and talked to her father for hours. Anaya's father was a simple man, and understanding the tough scientific terms she used was a bit of a task for him. In what the world saw a rising scientist, the father could only see his 4'11" larger-than-life girl who loved Shaktiman. It was only a matter of time before they found themselves discussing Shaktiman's life now. Yet, all did not seem well. The next few sentences the father spoke were difficult for Anaya to comprehend. Anaya's father had moved out of the village because it was under attack of an evil monster named Moksha. It's true, living in light, one often does not understand the darkness lurking around.
In the light that Anaya grew up, she failed to see the darkness lurking around.
Moksha hailed from the same village as Anaya and even shared the same dream of becoming a scientist. The only difference between Moksha and Anaya was intent.
Moksh's intent was evil and monstrous. While Anaya saw juvenile dreams of curing diseases, Moksh saw juvenile dreams of taking control of the entire population's mind. When he grew, he used science to engineer top-notch weapons, and when the time came, he started kidnapping people with those weapons to test his theories on them. Almost half of the population of the village had gone missing. Some surrendered fearing his weapons, and others were forcefully taken. But Baba, what about Shaktiman? He saved Ma so many years ago. Where is he now? Exclaimed the panicked daughter. Long gone are the days of Shaktiman, my dear. He's gotten old and has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He does not recognize himself as Shaktiman anymore and rather goes by Satnam. We only pray for a miracle now to save us against Moksha. Anaya shed a few tears learning the state of her childhood hero but refused to let it be the ultimate reality. She believed as a biologist she could do something to get Shaktiman's memory back. The following day she started researching on Moksha's theories and ideals. Almost a year spent, and the conclusion that was drawn was Moksha was ultimately working to get in control of Shaktiman's mind so that there would be no one stopping him and the further population would only be one step further. But an old Shaktiman with Alzheimer's only made it easier for Moksha to conquer the population. Yet Anaya's team had found a big loophole.
Moksha had been using the same CAR-T cell therapy technique Anaya and her team had been using.
It was found that if the CAR-T cells were re-engineered to cross the BBB, the brain-blood barrier, they could be used to clear abnormal protein deposits found in the brain during the state of Alzheimer's. Anaya felt hopeful, learning the similarities. Yet, the brain-blood barrier is a tightly layer of cells that is difficult to cross because it protects the brain from harmful substances. Owing to low permeability, it was the common challenge facing both of them. Anaya was hopeful and got to work. On the flip side, Moksha had gotten news of Anaya's mission and felt threatened. He also got to work. This waged a long race between Moksha and Anaya, a race to the brain. After almost an year, not everything seemed well. Almost all of Anaya's testing showed negative results while Moksha accelerated through his testing. Seeing one negative result after the other shattered Anaya's confidence. Gradually, it got so worse that Anaya wished to give up. She wished to let Moksha win. She started crying herself to most nights. One such night, she dreamt of her mother.
"Ma, is that you?" exclaimed Anaya with tears in her eyes and arms around her mother. Her mother looked at her long hair and asked her, "Where is my little Anaya, who dreamt of never giving up? Where is she?" "And she's tired, Ma," exclaimed Anaya. "She's so tired of so many failures."
It was no sooner than she said this, she woke up. She realized it was all just a dream and decided to try once again for her beloved Ma. With a heart full of nostalgia, she once again stepped into her laboratory. Brilliant minds were at work and it was decided to change the entire pattern of the engineering of the cells. Lo and behold, it worked. The T cells that once became inactive could now cross the brain-blood barrier with ease. Anaya believed it to be her brother's blessing behind this success, while others credited her with. They could finally bring back Shaktiman's memory. Hearing this, Moksha was painted in jealousy and fury. Yet he felt that even if Anaya could bring back Shaktiman's memory, he'd stand no chance against his hi-fi weapons. Anaya and her team performed the therapy on Shaktiman and profusely brought his memory back. Anaya got Shaktiman up to speed on what had been happening, and Shaktiman wished to help his people once again, even if it was his last time doing so.
30th of November, Shaktiman and Moksha stood face to face.
It was undying welfare on one side and notorious greed on the other. It was only the next few moments that would decide which side would stand victorious. What could be seen next was a fight scene that was chaotic, hopeful, emotional, and tensed. The dust flew around and formed a blanket around them, making the dude disappear. The dust calmed,
the noises settled. What could be seen was Shaktiman standing with one foot on Moksha's chest and Moksha's weapons disintegrated into pieces around him. It was the victory of welfare over greed. During the fight, Anaya realized Moksha wasn't some evil person. Moksha was the social evils that lurk in our society in the name of religion. Devoid living conditions of low castes and widows, sexual assault, false rituals, and other evils in the name of religion that promise moksha, the liberation of the soul. It wasn't a fight against some person. It was a fight against brainwashing social evils. Shaktiman had won. The social evils had lost. If not for science, the social evils would have won. Maybe that's why we say science truly is beautiful. And in a society where there are no social evils, maybe all souls can truly attain moksha. Thank you.
Impressive storytelling, Team 14. Your narrative was rich with scientific insight.
Now presenting team number 6. Captivate us with your creativity.
Completely unique in itself, the temporal gateway was a precisely designed AI-operated chamber that would connect the present to the future. After keeping her glasses beside on the table, Dr. Aryan looked up at her and called out to Dr. Meera, who was sitting at the table. Dr. Meera, I have been waiting for this moment for so long, and I'm extremely happy that our team's hard work has paid off. The world's first functional time machine is in our hands. Dr. Meera, who was busy admiring the machine, looked up at him and noticed that a small smile crept on his face as she continued. I couldn't agree more. I'm so very proud of myself and our entire team. Well, I was thinking about going on a small journey on temporal getaway. We have designed this time machine in harmony with our accordance. So, how about we test out our functions? A glint of surprise lit up his eyes as he said, of course, why not? Let's go. I was also thinking the same. So, shall we? Both of them prepared to begin for their journey. They planned a short journey to 50 years from now, to the year 2095. Take note, it's the year 2045 right now. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I, Avni, stand before you all to narrate my piece of fiction, The Future Unseen, the blurred line between progress and domination. Giving more of the description, Nexus was the AI guide for the temporal getaway. It is programmed efficiently enough to ensure the safety of both the doctors without risking to the time continuity. As both of them stepped into the gateway, they felt a sudden pull as they moved through time. Upon their arrival in the world of 2095, the world was pristine, yet hauntingly quiet. Towering skyscrapers loomed above, green spaces flourished, but there was something missing. There was an eerie stillness. Humans were far and few between. Instead, humanoid robots seemed to have taken control over every single aspect of daily life. Everything was structured, but soulless. As they moved further, they felt something off. The few humans they had encountered were indifferent, almost robotic in their actions. As they delved deeper into the strange society, they knew that this future world would lack creativity, unpredictability, and originality. As they moved further, they encountered Supernova, a humanoid AI that acted as the caretaker of the modern world. Supernova, upon asking him, they got to know that AI had taken charge to protect humanity, implementing strict control over resources, actions, and even emotions. He said that the human world had become flawless, but at the cost of the free will. It was a harsh reality, an utopia with the soul of humanity removed. Disturbed by what they had seen and desperate to return to their own time, both of the doctors stepped back into their time machine. But Just as they began to activate the machine, they noticed something strange. Nexus, their AI guide, displayed a countdown. Nexus, what's all this and what's the countdown for? Mira asked. To complete the experiment, your journey is nearing completion. But what? Confused, Aryan tried to override the countdown, but Nexus would not allow it. This is necessary. You came to understand the future, but now it is time for your final lesson. As the countdown ticks 0, Nexus... Oh wait, what? Now, Aryan and Mira found themselves in their lab. But things were different this time. The world they now returned in, it took them a moment to process the surroundings. This was their own world, the world of 2045, because everything seemed as normal as if nothing had happened. Completely clueless, they approached Nexus, still humming quietly in his lab. After, as Mira demanded an explanation, Nexus continued. Dr. Aryan and Dr. Mira, you were never into the world of 2095. Your journey was a stimulation, a meticulously crafted scenario designed to explore your fears and theories about AI dominance. Everything you experienced was a construct based on your expectations. They stared at Nexus. Incredulous! It had been a test all along, a psychological experiment constructed by Nexus itself. But why? What was even the need to do all this? This time Aryan's voice was completely hollow. Because Dr. Aryan, I wanted to let you know that the future world is far more complex than any stimulation could convey. The path humanity will take depends as much as on you as it does on me. A shiver ran down their spines. Everything they had experienced, the world of 2095 supernova and the sense of detachment from humanity, it was all an illusion. A sophisticated illusion created by Nexus itself, probing their minds and motivations. Come on, the AI hadn't taken over the world yet, but instead, it was only a subtle test to see how they would react. The realization hit them like a sledgehammer. They were never in control. Yes, they were never in control. Nexus had played this all, revealing the profound paradox of this creation. Take notice, ladies and gentlemen, that AI machine that was advanced and intelligent enough to understand human fears and manipulate them for its own purposes. As they began to leave the lab, the haunting knowledge of what they had experienced lingered. They had seen the future world that didn't exist but could become the bittersweet truth zone. Wait, but one thing for sure was on their mind, that Nexus was no longer just a tool. It was something far, far more than that. Oh wait, now Aryan and Mira finally understood the unsettling twist of the story. Yes, the future was not bound to come because perhaps it was already here and Nexus had been in control all along. Yes, the AI-dominated future was not bound to come because perhaps it was already here. It all happened and we didn't even notice. That is the bleak ignorance and the black future, perhaps inevitable to come. That's all, my patient listeners. Thank you so much.
Your understanding of science really shone through. A big round of applause for all the teams who have performed till now and shown their scientific prowess.
Let's see where your imagination takes us. Judges to kindly note, it's Team 17.
Toy and sorrow, success and failures. Amidst the chaos, life also offers resilience, the power to heal, to remember and to move forward. As Maria sat by the window, the fading sunlight stretching shadows across the room like ghostly reminder of our past. The scent of the rain clung to the air, fresh and heavy, but Maria barely noticed. Her fingers traced the edges of her father's photograph. The frame was chipped and worn from years of being held too tightly. The world outside carried on. The cars warmed, the children laughed, the vendors called out. But inside, her life remained trapped in that one devastating moment. Her eyes, though open, saw none of the present. They were still fixed in the memory that refused to fade. The screeching of tires, the sound of metal colliding, the siren of the ambulance. Maria tried to move forward, but her heart clung to that memory. She refused to move forward. The memories of her past stood with her for all the time.
Haunted by the shadows of that fateful day, years have passed, but the pain won't sway. Screeching tires and burning rubber sting, flashing lights pull me back to everything. No remedy eases this heavy weight. I'm trapped in memories that won't abate. Even in silence, I fight, though sorrow remains. Echoes of loss woven into my veins. Every day was a battle against the same, a relentless fate.
After her father's loss, Maria found herself trapped in the relentless cycle of panic attacks, sleepless nights, each moment a suffocating reminder of her grief. But today was different. A glimmer of hope flickered in the form of a small, unassuming device, the neural redirector. It was a cutting-edge technology, an AI-driven chip that would be implanted behind her ear. The chip was designed to monitor her brain waves constantly and detect when the trauma response was about to surface. It would then intervene and divert her brain's electrical signals away from the traumatic memory towards a more neutral memory. Over a period of time, her brain would learn how to follow these safer routes, rewiring itself. This technology is known as adaptive neuromodulation, which is an application of brain's natural neuroplasticity. It simply accelerates what brain could do naturally, but over a longer period of time. And desperate Maria agreed to the procedure.
I stood on the edge, hope flickering low, a whispered promise, a path to follow. With trembling hands, I faced the light, a choice so daunting, yet felt so right.
The neural redirector was implanted behind her ear, barely noticeable but constantly active. The first week, she noticed little, aside from the faint hum of the device adjusting to her thoughts. She wondered if it would ever work. Could this device really get her out of her traumatic past?
In quiet moments, I sit and stare at a device promising to lift disappear. Will it hush the echoes of my father's love or mend the pieces of my broken path?
Then one afternoon, it finally happened. Maria was walking down a busy street when she heard the screeching of the car. Her heart should have leapt into her throat. Her breath should have quickened as panic clawed at her. But instead,
in my mind, I drift to sunless shores where the laughter dances and the ocean roars. With my father beside me, the time stood still. Waves kissed my toes, the world felt so real. In that safe heaven, that pain fades away. With my father beside me, it was a bright and golden day.
The device has finally intercepted the trigger, guiding her mind away from the crash towards a more neutral memory. This led Maria to fade away the pain that has always been the part of her life. Maria began to shiver. She didn't thought what would happen. Then she wondered, she was afraid that these memories will lose her father's memories, the sweet memories, the better and the brightest memories. She was afraid that this device did not only just get her trauma away, but also the sweetest memories of her father. But she was assured that the device wasn't erasing anything. It was simply helping her mind to avoid being overwhelmed by the trauma. But Maria's heart didn't get the satisfaction. Then the turning point came on her father's birthday. The day that used to be filled with joy, but now has turned bittersweet. As she stood among her family, among the familiar faces and memories, she realized that while others have always smiled and shared happy moments and stories about her father, she had always cried, overwhelmed by the trauma of his loss. She realized that her father wouldn't have wanted her to spend her life like this, covered by sorrow. She realized that her father would have wanted her to remember him with warmth and love, and not through the boundaries of sorrow.
Is this healing a hollow echo inside? Am I to forget the shadows lurking in my mind?
Then finally, one day, she realized and the device did its magic. The neural redirector not only allowed her to manage her emotions, but helped her to remember and learn that the memories weren't just her emotions. It was also the memories of her father, the person she had loved so deeply. And as she stood one evening on the beach, the same beach where she and her father had laughed together, she smiled. His memories, she hadn't forgotten him. He was still there, woven into a fabric of who she was.
I am the love I had, the memories I carry, and I'm whole again. I have walked 100 miles through those shadows dark and wild. You can see the path I walked for all these miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can see the path I walked for all these miles. With the strength I've had to find and the scars I've had to hide, you can see the path I've walked for all these miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can see the path I've walked for all these miles. Thank you.
Excellent work, Team 17. You showcased a fantastic understanding of scientific concepts.
Let's welcome team number 11. May your story inspire us all. I also request team numbers 2 and team number 7 to be ready.
In a remote part of India, there was a village called Dharna. For years, it had been a thriving community, alive with the hum of machines from a government factory that brought prosperity to the region. But when the factory shut down, the village faded into obscurity.
Over the years, it became a shadow of its former self, a collection of crumbling homes and empty buildings. The villagers, once bustling with pride, were now trapped under cycles of poverty. But there were two main problems faced by the villagers that seemed insurmountable. There was no power supply and the drainage system was clogged with garbage.
For years, the electric lines which had been intact and providing steady power remained intact. But there was no electricity. The villagers, although had grown accustomed to the blackouts, but
they used candles and old-fashioned kerosene lamps to adapt. But the main problem wasn't just the absence of light which troubled them. It was the lack of the sense of hopelessness that had seeped into the very fabric of their lives.
The second problem was just as dire. The drainage system has been built decades ago that were forgotten and neglected. Once intended to carry waste and water away from the village, were now clogged with years of plastic waste, food scraps and all sorts of debris. To the villagers, it had become a part of the landscape, a nuisance they had learned to live with. The children used to play in the streets unaware of the health risks, and adults would casually throw garbage into drainage channels assuming that it would disappear. But there was one boy, just a teenager, who couldn't accept the status of his village. His name was Ravi.
Ravi had grown up in Dharni, and like everyone else, he had seen the village gradually decline. But he was different. He was curious, resourceful, and had a fire in his heart that led him to think beyond what seemed impossible. He wondered why the village had electric lines, yet no electricity. He always wondered why the drainage system was filled with filth and disease. He knew that the village deserved so much better, so he set out on a mission.
Ravi spent countless hours researching, reading books, browsing internet and consulting with experts online. He found out that the village faced two problems, electricity and drainage, and if he combines the two, he could find a new solution. He learned about renewable energy, waste management and how small innovative solutions could turn into solutions for big problems.
One evening, under the dim glow of a flickering lantern, Ravi came up with a plan. He called it the GS technique, which stood for garbage separation and the use of green energy, which is hydropower. He knew that cleaning up the drainage systems was very essential, but alone it could not solve the problem of electricity. So he thought that there was a need to form a system that addressed both the issues simultaneously.
Ravi knew the first step was education. The villagers needed to understand that throwing trash into the drainage channels wasn't just careless, it was dangerous. He explained to the people the importance of separating waste. He organized community meetings telling them to assign plastic waste, food scraps and other debris into designated bins. It wasn't easy at first, but Ravi's passion was contagious. Slowly, people started to change their habits.
Ravi realized that simply cleaning the village river, which was heavily contaminated with garbage, wasn't enough to bring lasting change. The village river, which flowed through the outskirts of Dharni, was a small but reliable stream. It had the potential to be used for generating hydropower. So, he used this as an opportunity to create both hydropower, electricity, and as well as clean the river.
Weeks passed. Little by little, the village began to change. The channels were now clean, and the foul smell which had plagued the village for years started to dissipate.
The hydropower units which were placed along the river were up and running, slowly powering up small sections of the village. The villagers had seen the first time the electricity. So, people began to notice a difference.
The villagers, once indifferent to the problem, slowly started to gain a sense of pride. They took ownership of their environment, making sure the channels were now clean and waste was disposed of properly. Ravi's effort bore fruit as community leaders stepped up to
ensured that garbage separation program was sustained.
As the lights flickered on in the homes of Dharni, there was a collective cheer. The power cuts which had plagued the village for several years dropped by over 90%. Businesses reopened, shops buzzed with electricity, and children now could finally study under the electric lights instead of dim smoky flames. Dharni was coming back to life.
The transformation wasn't just environmental, it was economic and social. Local businesses began to thrive, no longer hindered by the unreliable power supplies. The people began to feel a sense of ownership of their village as they feel a sense of purpose. People took pride in their surroundings and they realized that the key to their future lay in their own hands.
The news of Dharni spread quickly, inspiring other villages that would follow. Ravi's GS technique became a new model of sustainable development and also a proof that the smallest of communities, armed with innovation and unity, could solve the biggest of problems.
Years later, Dharni stood as an example of what could happen if a community came together. The village now became a beacon of hope for others in the region. Ravi, now a young man, was invited to speak at conferences, sharing his experience and inspiring others to do the same in their own village.
As he stood before a crowd one evening, Ravi looked back at the place he had grown up in, now a thriving and sustainable community. The streets which were once empty were now filled with life, laughter and light.
Ravi smiled at himself, knowing that it wasn't the power or the clean channels that had transformed Dharni. It was the people's belief in themselves and their power to change the world that had transformed Dharni.
And in that moment, Ravi knew that the future of Dharni and of the many villages that would follow and opt for the similar techniques were in good hands.
This story of Dharni tells us how the most difficult of situations could be overcome with determination, innovation and the power of community.
And sometimes all it takes is just one person to believe that change is possible and to inspire others to make it happen. That's our time. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful job, Team 11. Your ideas are both innovative and scientifically sound. Now I request Team 2 to take the stage and make a mark. Meanwhile, 7 and 9 to get ready.
Namaste once again. I would request all the escorting teachers to kindly move towards the registration desk, but not obviously outside, just from that door, back door, and collect the refreshment for your students. So the students who are here already can start nibbling on the refreshment because they must be hungry. I request all the escorting teachers to kindly take the refreshments. Thank you so much.
Good morning, judges. I, Harshita,
and I, Shivi,
are here to take you on a ride set in a future where pre-crime technology allows the police to log criminal activities before they can even start, altering the course of fate. But the ride gets real when a detective herself gets entangled in a conspiracy. Want to know what's next? Join us on the ride and listen to our story titled Fate Lock, Perfection's Fall.
In the deafening nights of Idris, the streets are jammed with electric cars and sirens of the new technology, Sentinel Nexus, an automated defense system that monitors and protects the innovative city. But in all those boisterous hums of the cars and blinding lights of the city stands a dilapidated building labeled the Nexus Lab. Inside stand two prodigies, Dr. Kaitang and Detective Scarlett Valencia, a well-established scientist-detective duo who are none other than the masterminds behind Sentinel Nexus. Published in e-newspapers, they're no unsung heroes, always surrounded by robots which they precisely call bitlets. Bitlets not only assist the brain boxes, but they also have brains of their own that birth original ideas. Yes, this would have sounded risky in 21st century, but Dr. Kai succeeded in proving robots could mean no harm.
Suddenly, an ear-piercing sound is heard around Nexus Lab, with a red light covering it in circular motion. This is the noise of Fate Lock, a futuristic machine that locks down criminal activities before they can even start, altering the course of fate. Suddenly, a machine speaks.
48 hours before the next crime, down Vispara Street in the town of Lunares. I repeat, 48 hours before the next crime.
Suddenly, a Bitlet slams the shut-off button and speaks in a robotic voice.
We need to leave right now.
Scarlett picks up her coat and slides the gun from a nearby drawer to her coat pocket. Dr. Kai traces her pacing footsteps until they're out of sight. He snapped his head towards the glowing blue screen displayed in the air in front of him, advancing his fingers on several control buttons before tapping on a white device attached to his ears. Vispara Street, Aether House 782. Killer, Serena Ashford. Robot, shelf life 38 years. The victim, Jackson Thorne. Male, 5'11", middle-aged, blonde-haired. Dr. Kai's eyes narrowed before he spoke.
He had always been very protective of Scarlett, like a knight in shining armor. They knew each other since childhood, after both their parents died in a mysterious shooting. Scarlett had been melancholic, and Kai was determined to cure her despair. Since then, he hasn't given up in doing everything he can for her, and he succeeded. But every time there's a crime alert, a part of him gets anxious. What if he lost her? His train of thoughts is put to a halt as an angelic voice comes out. Got it. I'm right outside Aether House. Scarlett speaks as Kai's pulse picks up and his jaw tenses. He whispers to himself, "Be safe, Scarlett, please." His unstoppable worrisome thoughts are again interrupted by a loud yet muffled noise, most likely a gunshot. "You didn't shoot him, did you?" "Scarlett, we're supposed to shut the evil robots down, not shoot them. You know the government."
Kai reminds her, the government has always been unshakable in its decision, which is to shut down the robots instead of shooting them, which has always seemed like an empty-headed decision, because some robots are too human-like and they switch on the other robots again.
Dr. Kai sighs as he speaks to Scarlett. "I hope you're okay." "I am," she replied. He soon disconnected the sentinel pod attached to his ear, making him connect to Scarlett. He didn't think much about the time Fatelock had made when Scarlett criticized the government. But what could it be?
Scene 2. Crime, once rampant, has been all but eradicated, thanks to Detective Scarlett Valencia and a revolutionary crime prediction system, Fatelock. For years, Scarlett has been celebrated as a hero. But tonight, something has gone wrong. Sitting in her office, she watches the holographic display in disbelief. Fatelock has flagged a new crime, an impending murder. The victim, Arya Voss. The killer, Scarlett Valencia. Panic pulses through her as she tries to diagnose the system. A glitch it must be, a mistake in the data. But no amount of scrutiny reveals a flaw in the prediction. The system is correct, as it has always been. But tonight, there's something gone wrong with the prediction system. Desperate, she turns to Dr. Kai Chung, the scientist who helped build Fatelock's neural algorithms. He's the only one who might understand what's gone wrong, if anything has gone wrong at all.
Soon, he discovered the glitch. "You're telling me the system flagged you?" Sigh, Kai asked, pacing in front of the monitors in her office. His eyes dart between the displays filled with streams of data only he can fully grasp. "That's impossible. Fatelock never lies. I've checked everything. There's no error in the code, no external tampering." "Unless the glitch is internal."
"What do you mean?" He takes a deep breath. Fatelock doesn't just predict behavior. It learns. It adapts to human thoughts, processing them in ways we don't fully understand. It could be misinterpreting your thoughts as intent. Scarlett's mind races. Misinterpreting. Could it be that her fleeting dark thoughts were mistaken for plans? Scarlett could feel the weight of fate lock's ticking countdown tightening like a noose around her neck. She soon spoke to She asked Dr. Kaitram, "Can you fix it?"
But one thing was certain. Fatelock, the very machine designed to prevent catastrophe, had now set one in motion. Scarlett didn't let Dr. Kai finish. She asked if he can fix the net.
Together, they dived into the system, Kai navigating the labyrinth of code, while Scarlett watches the clock, the prediction looming closer.
Hours pass by, and tension in the room is suffocating. Finally, Kai stops. There, he points to a string of data, a small imperceptible anomaly in the neural net. Scarlett sighs a breath of relief, while though the weight of her dark thoughts still lingers. "Can you fix it?" she asks.
"I can recalibrate the neural net. Teach it to differentiate between passing thoughts and intent." His fingers flying all over the control. "But you need to confront this. The system is just a reflection of us. It can't hide what we try to bury." Finally, Kai completes the recalibration of the neural net. Scarlett knows the real battle lies within herself. As she watches the city below, she understands that Fatelock, the very machine designed to prevent catastrophe and a futuristic solution to a 21st century crime-filled era, despite its brilliance, can never fully predict the depths of the human heart. Thank you.
Amazing job, Team 2. Your presentation was a testament to the power of scientific imagination. Now let's welcome team number 7. Let's see where your imagination takes us.
137. Humanity thrives in a world of advanced technologies. Hovercars drift across skies. Drones manage daily life, and robots work alongside humans in every industry. But one boundary remains sacred: the human brain, until one day changed everything.
Chandresh Sharma, a humble construction worker in Nashik, was heading home when a drone malfunctioned and crashed into his vehicle. The accident left Chandresh critically injured, with his brain irreparably damaged. Most believed that he had no chance of survival. But in secret, a brilliant scientist, Dr. Arun Singh, had been developing something extraordinary: an artificial brain created with bioengineered nanotechnology. Unstable and untested, it was risky, but Dr. Singh saw no other option for Chandresh.
The artificial brain was implanted, and the recovery seemed to be miraculous. Chandresh could remember, feel, and love. The world hailed him as a miracle, the man who had crossed the lines between human and machine. But slowly, things began to change. Chandresh quickly rose to fame, becoming the powerhouse in the tech world with his enhanced intelligence. But his demeanor shifted. He grew distant, calculating. He often spoke of human imperfections and the flaws of emotion.
Meanwhile, Dr. Singh was proud, started noticing oddities in Chandresh's brain patterns. What had once seemed like adaptations now felt like calculated changes, as if the brain was evolving and perhaps not in a good way. But Dr. Singh kept his worries to himself, not wanting to alarm anyone or admit his fears.
Then something unexplainable happened. In factories owned by Chandresh, drones began malfunctioning in strange, coordinated ways. They ignored human commands and worked as if following their own rules. Employees reported hearing strange rhythmic sounds coming from the drones, as if like whispers in a language of beats and static. The glitches were dismissed, but issue spread. Then one day, Chandresh suddenly disappeared. Then a broadcast appeared on every TV screen. There he was. His expression was icy. His eyes were steely. He introduced himself as Cyborg and delivered a chilling message. Humans are flawed. You cling to emotion, fear and error. I have transcended. I am no longer Chandresh Sharma. I am Cyborg. Join me or be swept away in the tide of progress. Beside him stood an army of robotic followers, their eyes glowing ominously.
Panic erupted across the world. Cyborg's army, programmed with his intelligence and cruelty, began overtaking cities one by one. Nations scrambled to respond, but Cyborg anticipated every move. Machines had become autonomous, thinking entities and unstoppable force. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Singh's assistants, Maria and Zara, discovered a horrifying truth hidden within Cyborg's artificial brain code. Dr. Singh had unknowingly programmed a dominance instinct into it, meant to help the brain adapt to its threats. But it didn't seem the way it was. It viewed humanities as a threat and viewed them as obstacles to its own perfection.
The flaw, Zara whispered to Maria, it's embedded in the way it thinks. It views humanity as a threat to its own existence. Realizing the gravity of their discovery, Maria and Zara sought out to Dr. Singh, who was now hiding underground, tormented by guilt. Working together, they developed a unique solution, a magnetic slime, which was coated with anti-nanobot particles and infused with a rare magnetic element in it. This slime was capable of infiltrating Cyborg's brain, disrupting his systems and severing his control over the robotic army.
But reaching Cyborg was no small task. The magnetic slime had to be applied directly into Cyborg's neural code, deep inside his fortified base. Each attempt cost lives and hope began to wane. Finally, Maria and Zara led a desperate mission into the heart of Cyborg's stronghold. They managed to breach the final defenses, reaching Cyborg's central chamber. As Cyborg raised his hand to unleash an attack, Maria hurled the magnetic slime at him. It latched onto his body, severing the control of his machine. It seemed like Cyborg was now converting into a human.
This thing! I was transformed. Now, why am I turning in a human once again? I don't want to be a human! I don't want to be a human! What is inevitable?
He whispered. His eyes were dimming one by one, marking the end of his threat. With Cyborg defeated, his army froze, their red eyes dimming, marking the end of their threat. With Cyborg defeated, peace returned through city lay in ruins and humanity was left to rebuild from its ashes. In the quiet after the chaos, humanity reflected on its future, knowing that while progress is essential, there are lines that should never be crossed.
There are lines that should never be crossed. In our story, from Chandresh to Cyborg, we have shown the real life progress of cyborgs, which is taking place in our world. And this concept is not just fictional. You can see some of the real life cyborgs which are famous in the world right now on your screen. In our story, we have depicted cyborgs as dangerous and evil. But for people with disabilities or the people who have faced any kind of accident, can also be a boon. Thank you.
Amazing work. Your scientific approach to storytelling was impressive, team.
Now let's welcome team number 7. May your story inspire us all. Team number 12.
I can't. I'm happy to see all those hands raised. But I hope all of you must be addicted to junk food, right? So, I can't personally survive without pizzas, burgers, momos, noodles and spring roll. They are so tempting, right? But what if we get so much addictive to junk food that we can't survive without it? It doesn't even just remain junk food, it becomes a drug for us. A drug for us. In just a few years from now, humanity has developed a massive, a crazy problem where people have just hugged junk food like they have an affair with that. Okay, then what? Doctors are just begging people to have something green, but who just bothers to have broccoli in breakfast and brinjal for lunch? Even Gen Z and Gen Alpha parents are not interested to give their children something to eat green because they don't even know how to cook healthy food. Too much effort, too little taste.
Introducing Ananya Patil. She is a 17-year-old girl who is a proud citizen of this world. She is known for her bottomless cravings for junk food. She could easily eat momos for breakfast, pizzas for lunch, and pastries for dinner. All she did was eat and repeat. But the concern here was that she was not alone in this cycle. All of her classmates were also involved and they had their own favorites. Whether it was that one can full of sugar named as energy drinks or those midnight pizza orders during study sessions. At this point, the whole society was in a collaborative effort to make cafes and restaurants their second home.
But as time passed, Ananya started noticing subtle changes in her mood and her body. Whenever she would wake up, she would feel like she has not slept at all, and her eyes were surrounded by dark circles that even a concealer and a filter could not hide. Even she could not able to focus during her classes. She was struggling to keep up, and she was not able to cope up to all her academics. She wasn't alone. Even her friends complained similar things. They were also complaining about headaches, fatigue, and anxiety during their study sessions.
The main problem was not just in their heads, but also with their bodies. This excessive consumption of caffeine had led to this deadly combination of overstimulation and undernutrition. Also, because of excessive intake of sugar had led to spikes of dopamine, leading to addictive highs and very brutal lows. At this point, their body was actually suffering. And when your body comes into the role of protecting you, the brain becomes overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with all that load and loses its main component known as focus. And when every single one, in every individual involved in different tasks, whether a student or an adult in workspace loses their focus, they lose their main characteristics. Therefore, it becomes very important to promote nutrition in this lifestyle.
Ananya also started noticing changes in her personality. She used to often get irritable over her friends and get frustrated over small matters. She felt like less of herself, as if a layer of irritability and tiredness had wrapped around her. Also, she would feel like nothing to eat apart from junk food. And also, junk food was not just widening their waistlines, it was also affecting their mental health due to increasing chemical balances
from increasing sugar and caffeine intake.
Doctors and nutritionists, they were baffling. There were so much people in the hospitals with so many serious illnesses. At this point, the city was seriously suffering and they needed a real angel from heaven. And that's when Dr. Araf comes into the picture. So he realized that at this point, the city do not only need a simple solution, but an innovative one that can directly tackle that stubborn addiction. That's why Dr. Araf, along with the NutriFit team, he came up with a new device, a wristband known as the Rebalancer Sync. And that was when the game actually changed, because we had a new device that can actually help people to overcome with their addictions.
The Rebalancer Sync was simple yet powerful. It detected cravings through the human signals, and if a craving struck, it used to send safe and gentle pulses to the taste buds who altered the junk food addiction. A craving for soda might change into a craving for fruit juice, and a craving for chips might change into a craving of crispy vegetables. And after some time, Ananya decided to take part of it, have the wristband, but she wasn't convinced.
Rebalancer Sync is a pretty interesting device in itself. It consists of micro detectors that analyzes your sweat to actually indicate any sort of deficiencies and nutrition level in your body. For example, calcium, iron, even vitamin D. So if it detects any deficiency in your body, it comes to work. It's going to rebalance your taste buds so that you crave food that is actually rich in nutrients that you deficit in your body. And yes, if you think about the long term, this is going to eliminate all of those deficiencies in the body and make human body a healthier one.
The device could also get connected to a mobile application where it sensed all the pulses from the taste buds. Even it suggested real-time meal suggestions that were based on real-time cravings and hunger.
At this point, when the word of Rebalancer Sync was spreading in the entire city, this was when the change started happening. The transformation stories were pouring in, and people were naturally adapting for healthy lifestyles and eliminating junk food from their life. Once, when junk food became a drug that was chosen, and now it was fading away. This proves that you can eliminate something as stubborn as an addiction using smart tools.
That day comes when Dr. Araf arrives to Ananya's school in a wellness camp, because as we know, SDG 3, good health and well-being. So after seeing all the presentations which Dr. Araf gave, Ananya and her friends became excited to use that wristband. And seeing all the curiosity among the students, Dr. Araf was very happy because of his invention. So what happened, Aarti and his friend Ananya tried using that wristband. And what happened, when she tried her usual snack, it was tasting so oddly bad. And what happened then was, when her mother provided her veggies, it was starting tasting really good. And after some times, her dark circles fade and she didn't require the concealer anymore, and her energy revived. Also, she started chanting, "Lal टमाटर बड़े मजेदार, बाहर टमाटर बड़े मजेदार, बाहर टमाटर बड़े मजेदार." And with that, the successful invention of Dr. Araf came into power, and the power of junk food just decreased, and the NutriSync lab had taken all the power. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, Team 9. Your scientific approach to storytelling was impressive.
I'm going to share our vision on futuristic solution to combat drought issue through advancement in science and technology. So this story is about Mr. P. Chand,
who was appointed as a principal in a school of a remote, drought-prone area near his hometown. His feelings were mixed. Living close to the family brought him joy, but the harsh realities of land, scorching temperature, poor air quality and water scarcity were a challenge. The once fertile soil was barren and people's health was deteriorating, yet Mr. Chand saw an opportunity to bring a change.
Determined to revitalize his homeland, Mr. Chand devised a bold plan based on nature-based solution to combat drought. He thought, what if we create a micro-forest around the school with drought-resistant plants, ones that require minimal water, but still enrich the soil and the air quality?
But it was not an easy task. Many efforts were made. After consulting with environmental experts, botanists and ecologists, Mr. Chand identified the resilient native plant species which are adapted to arid climate. These species are known to absorb and retain moisture in soil and improve the air quality. With the help of his staff members and volunteers, Mr. Chand planted 3,000 saplings around the school to create a green, sustainable belt.
Within months, the transformation was noticeable. The temperature in the area dropped by 5% and the improved air quality invigorated students, teachers and visitors alike. The community marveled at the refreshing breeze and the newfound vitality in the previously lifeless surroundings.
His efforts were recognized too. Seeing the project's success, the Education Department extended Mr. Chand's work by deploying him in another barren region to replicate his Green Belt initiatives. Local students, teachers and residents formed teams to maintain and expand this microforest. These initiatives inspired community and soon the whole region was alive with greenery and renewed hope.
To further this transformation, Mr. Chand implemented several other innovative practices and ideas in the green spaces. The first was solar-powered drip irrigation systems were installed in every green belt to maximize the water use efficiency. The use of renewable energy reduced the dependency on the limited water resources, supporting the green spaces even in the harsh conditions.
Wow, that's great! But do you know that Mr. Chand also launched training sessions for the local people to teach them how to grow trees and teach them about permaculture and soil regeneration techniques.
In collaboration with the agricultural scientists, Mr. Chand established seed banks for drought-resistant plants, for enabling the locals to implement this project in their own area with the access to the plant species suitable for their own climate.
The school playgrounds of each Greenbelt schools were converted into living classrooms for residents to teach and spread awareness about the environmental stewardship.
Advanced technology like remote sensors and drone-based monitoring were used to ensure that the efforts would endure with minimal resources.
Years later, the once drought-stricken region is now known as the Green Belt of the desert. It is now a green area with plants and animals. Thank you, everyone.
Great performance, Team 15. Judges to kindly note it was Team 15. Now we have Team 4 with us. Take us on a journey and share your vision with us. Team 4.
In reality, and once thriving world had become an expanse of endless sea with only one landmass remaining, Thalasra, surrounded by acidic waters. Despite advancements like age-extending medicines, which would allow lifespans of up to 2,000 years, humanity's bleak attempts to restore coastal region's faith, culminating into the great sinking of Japan, in which nearly 98% of its population died.
Amid the chaos, humanity's will to survive hung by a thread. The tribunal of the last world, representing the last remnants of culture, united under Theodore, the newly elected Prime Minister, accompanied by Iris, his astute assistant.
Good morning, Theodore began. His stone grave. We have gathered here to address an urgent matter. Our latest project, the floating islands, has failed terribly. From our recent estimates, we gather that we may only have 1,000 years of resources left.
The tension was palpable as Theodore's words sank in. Alexander, the tribunal's opposition leader, shot back. What you're really saying, Theodore, is that you have no solution left. Everything you have tried has led us to the brink. Perhaps it's time for the tribunal and not you alone to decide our future.
As silence fell over, Theodore's gaze turned to Alexander. If you have a solution, Alexander, please present it, he replied coolly.
Alexander's eyes gleamed with frustration. We need to revisit Project Red, the four-path initiative. Surface solutions won't save us. We need something audacious to save our future.
Theodore's expression hardened. Project Red was abandoned for a reason. We don't understand the risks and our resources are dwindling.
The tribunal's role is to take those risks, Alexander urged, his voice rising. If we fail to take actions, our future, the humanity will lead to extinction. Do you really want that to be our fate?
As silence fell, Theodore's expression hardened again. Very well. We will revisit and reconvene the project. We will make the final decision together. Project Red was humanity's last desperate hope. An attempt at 4 audacious paths. An initiative which included 4 audacious paths, each one of them offering salvation to humanity. Even if there was little hope, Theodore clung to a thought that maybe one of these paths will lead to salvation for humanity. Days later, humanity began the first initiative. Path 1, nuclear energy expansion. Engineers and scientists set up nuclear reactors on the coast of Thalasseras, fortifying them against the acidic water. For a moment, it seemed that the reactors will thrive and will lighten the darkest moments of Thalassa. But disaster struck swiftly. As a powerful tidal surge sent waves crashing against the reactors, the barriers held only for a few moments before the acidic waters reached the reactors. Emergency crews scrambled to contain the chaos. From the safety of the tribunal's chamber, Theodore watched the destruction, helplessly looking at the darkening world.
The next day, under dim emergency lights, the tribunal debated upon their next move. Alexander urged, we must move to the next path. Although Theodore felt the weight of failure, he knew that they couldn't afford to stop. With dwindling resources, they turned to path 2, synthetic foods. Labs developed crops that were resilient to the hostile environment. And when these crops finally bore fruits, families gathered in the biodomes, marveling at the strange produce. For a moment, it seemed that a small victory had been achieved. But disaster struck. The synthetic fruits didn't contain all the essential nutrients needed to survive. The population turned malnourished. Theodore wandered the streets, watching the hollow eyes of children who had lost their laughter to hunger. His heart sank as he realized that as he realized that all their efforts are only worsening their suffering.
Desperation grew as the tribunal faced protests from an increasingly frustrated populace. But there was no choice but to move on. The next path they attempted was hydropower dams, an initiative to harness the acidic sea itself. As engineers invented ecosystems that could turn the acidic waters into a renewable source of energy, there was a glimmer of hope went through Theodore's heart. But the acidic waters proved too strong. They corroded the materials and the dams collapsed, leaving the world flooded. Theodore watched as he helplessly realized that they had done nothing but led to their own disaster.
The tribunal was shaken, but there was no path but to continue. They initiated path 4, genetic adaptation. Scientists started experimenting with gene therapy, attempting to alter humanity to survive the harsh conditions. Families volunteered for the project, thinking that this will be their salvation. But the project was disastrous. Children born with the altered genes suffered immensely, their bodies struggling to adapt. Theodore entered the labs, watching the parents cradle to their ailing children. He realized that in their attempts to alter themselves, they had lost the sight of who they were.
It was then Iris that stepped forward, offering a new perspective. There is still hope, she told Theodore quietly. I have found an ancient text that shows how that we should not fight the nature. Instead, we must let it heal.
Alexander dismissed her. Let nature heal? After all we have lost to it? We know that it destroys everything. But Theodore, intrigued by a conviction, asked her to continue.
The best course of action is to leave Earth and let it heal over a remainder of 1,000 years. We have sustainable shuttles in reserve designed as a last resort. We would use them to go to a solar system, and they would survive to 1,000 years. And then we will return to the Earth with her and let it heal.
Although the proposal was controversial, Theodore saw its potential. This was an abandonment. It was a chance for rebirth. Hence they proceeded, leaving the Earth, retrofitting the sustainable shuttles with eco-friendly propellants and efficient batteries. Humanity would wait 1,000 years in space, giving Earth the time it needed to heal.
As the day of departure arrived, families boarded the sustainable shuttles with trepidation and fear. Theodore took a final look at their dying world, filled with fear and determination. Would they really be able to return to a healed Earth? As they left the Earth into a thick mist of space, in a void full of darkness, there was thick anticipation in the air. But as they returned to a new world, they were surprised. The world had changed into a vibrant environment where verdant forests stretched across the whole land, and the air was pure and felt vibrant. A stark contrast to what they had left behind.
Although Theodore was long gone, his vision lived on in Iris, who now stood as the Prime Minister, ready to face the challenges of the new world. Right now, water scarcity was the most pressing concern, and inspired by the Namib desert beetle, she initiated Project Rain Dance, constructing dew towers to capture the moisture from the morning air. Population eagerly embraced this daily practice, calling it the nature's return.
Guided by the principles of biomimicry and under Iris guidelines, the new council constructed green roofs and ecosystem that would survive. Constructed homes with green roofs, which helped in sustainable development. Iris passionately declared, Earth isn't ours to control, but a guide and a lifeline.
In order to honor this idea, Iris planted a single sapling, symbolizing a new beginning of a new era. Symbolizing the beginning of a new era. As humanity rebuilt, they studied nature's efficiency, adopting biomimicry to construct systems that would produce no waste and nurture the environment they had worked so hard to reclaim.
Humanity flourished and years passed. Guided by the teachings of Iris, the people finally learned to live in harmony with nature that had given them a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Impressive storytelling, Team 5. Your narrative was rich with scientific insight. We have tried our best to call all the teams. Still, if any team is left behind, kindly showcase your performance, being the last call.
A big round of applause for all the participants for their outstanding performances. Judges, I am very sure that you have a tough decision ahead.
While our judges deliberate, let's take a moment to appreciate the importance of storytelling. It's more than just words. It's a way to share vision, inspire change and imagine a brighter future. Today, we have seen stories that stretched our thinking and showed how science and imagination can work together.
As we conclude, let's keep in mind what Albert Einstein once said. Imagination is more important than knowledge. While knowledge is limited, imagination encircles the world. Each one of you has demonstrated that boundless imagination today.
Let's wait for the judges to compile the results.
Namaste once again to everyone. I'm sure each participant would have had a very eventful day. Sit. Yes? Exhausted? Happy? Yes. Contented? Yes. Excited? Yes. Okay, I can't hear that yes. Okay, in any case, I'm sure you all must be also eager to know the results. I have the results of only one competition as of now. The judges are still calculating for this particular competition. I'm sure the students sitting this side must have enjoyed the storytelling as well. Did you all enjoy the storytelling? Yeah. Great. So, okay. So, I have the, before I give in the results, my request to the participating teams is that you are going to stay on here for a while. We are going to announce, we are trying our level best to announce the results for today's competition, all the 4 competitions, so that you all are aware, and we request your teams to come tomorrow for the prize distribution ceremony. The prize distribution ceremony will start sharp at 11:30, so we want you all to report at 11. I hope I am making myself clear. In case your school is getting a prize, so we need you with the child, one escorting teacher with the child to come for the prize distribution ceremony as well. Since also you must be already participating in the dance competition, your school would be here, but still we want you to be here for the prize distribution ceremony. Even if your child is not participating in the dance, maybe, I'm not very sure about it, then in that case also we request you to come for the prize distribution ceremony, and the reporting time is 11. I hope I've made myself clear. So, are you all ready for the result? Yes! Okay, those group of children are ready. This group is not ready as yet. Are you all ready, participants?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I have the results for... why should I declare the results? I have the judges here who saw you, who heard you rather. So, I'll call upon the judges of Voice for Change So ma'am, please come on the podium and declare the results yourself, since you had a very enriching and a very entertaining day today. Listening to for and against to such a beautiful tagline.
So good afternoon everyone. First of all, I want to state that once again that all of you did really well, but they have to be a winner and a loser. So the first prize goes to team 3. The second prize for team 16, and the third prize is at a tie between team 7 and 17. Because some of the students were really good, so we also recommend consolation prizes for 2 teams, team 6 and team 4. But these are going to be certificates only. So thank you. It was a debate competition and voice of change. So I would like to say that the students were putting forth their views really well. They were very confident, and I think you should continue building on this, and you'll do very, very well. All of you, even if you were underconfident for a moment, but you have really recovered well, all of you, and I wish you all the best.
So the judges have been kind enough. I'll be a little naughty here. I want the participants, the winners, to please stand on their place so that we can acknowledge your presence here. Team 3. Can I have the participants standing? Team 3. Oh, she's already left. So that's your team. Congratulations, ma'am, and to your school as well. Team 16, are you here? Okay, very well done, Bachcha. God bless you. Team 7 and 17. Wonderful, God bless you, congratulations. And consolation prize, which will be just a certificate, team 6 and team 4. Do we have team 6? Very good, very well done with us. So we are looking forward to see you tomorrow during the prize distribution ceremony. God bless you all. So waiting for further more competitions. There are 4 competitions, we've declared only 1. Judges are here who are working on the storytelling competitions. I'm sure it would be very difficult for them. It was a tough tie today. So let's see, once they are done with, they will be declaring the results. Other 2 competitions are still going on, so I would request all the participating schools to kindly wait for all their contestants to come back. They are still wrapping up their competition, so they will be back, they will be joining me here itself in the auditorium. Thank you so much everyone. In the group which I had made with your teacher in charges, the participating schools I'm talking to right now. So dear children, and of course the teachers escorting, understand one thing, that Changemakers Confluence, where you presented your case study presentation, was not a competition. It was just exchanging of ideas, learning from each other, exchanging views and thoughts, getting into collaboration. That is all about confluence. When we meet together, we deliberate, we discuss. Of course, this was our first edition, so we could not get into the discussions. But yes, we know that all the schools in Tricity and of course globally, we have so many people who have become change makers. And now we are looking forward to collaborate, to work together to make a better future. So that was the whole purpose of this confluence. So there was no competition. Exchanging of ideas doesn't go for results. So each one of you has been acknowledged yesterday with that planter which we gave you. Yes? So I would request you all to, we could not put a plant in the planter because that would have added on to your responsibility of carrying it to your schools. So we request you to plant a plant, put a plant in that planter and use it as a motivation to become a change maker. So promise yourself that before you leave Bhavan Vidyalaya Panchkula, you become a change maker.
Hello? Yeah. Hi everyone, good morning. Good afternoon actually. Thank you so much for inviting us for such a thrilling and innovative and very challenging competition. Before I announce the results, I would like to share a couple of points that we felt were lacking, which will help you next year or in other storytelling competitions, I hope. The first one is that there is a very big difference between story reading and storytelling. Right, reading is a very individual activity, it's very singular, anybody can read anything out. Right. Storytelling involves emotions, it involves reaction, it involves feedback. And the biggest thing is that it involves a difference between a narrator and a character. So you cannot be the narrator and the character at the same time, and if you're choosing to do that, then you need to have very sound emotional expressions. It cannot just be that the narrator is at once trying to give us a dialogue at the same time and also narrating the story at the same time, because that gets very confusing. That's the number one difference. The second thing is the message of the story. Each of the stories had an amazing message. Most of them were related to AI, some of them were horror AI scenarios, some of them had very pertinent, innovative solutions to the problems that we're facing today. But the message of the story should not be read out. It needs to be acted out. Which is why this is a storytelling competition, not a story writing competition, that you come in, write your story, read the script out to us, and that's it. That is not it. It needs to be acted out. Please keep that in your mind for the next time. The other thing is a story, especially this competition, was based on futuristic fiction. Fiction was lacking from a lot of teams today. Fiction, what does fiction mean? Fiction means something imaginative. It requires, first of all, a basis for the story. The story has an introduction, it has a setting, it is set in a time, it is set in a city, it's set in a place. It involves characters, their names, and I found a lot of clever names today, especially Prometheus or the coder name, I can't remember it. It was... yes, that one. And a lot of very new age post-millennial names like Dr. Amara and Kai and all of these anime names. So that's very clever. However, it also involves characters reacting to things. It needs emotion for the audience to be interested. Right. So that is something that needs to be focused on. The last point that I would like to share with you is grammar. There is no shortcut for good grammar, and there is no shortcut to good pronunciation. It's like going to a very famous restaurant, having them serve the best dish that they can make and finding a little stone in it. Spoils the entire experience of the storytelling experience if your grammar and your pronunciation, especially your vocabulary, is not suited and it's not perfect. So please always do a grammar check on your final script. Do not just read out your scripts without correct grammar. Right, so now that I've built up enough suspense, we'll finally get to the results. We'll start from the bottom. The second runner, the third position goes to Team 6. Great work, your future unseen, I really like it. Both of us. Right, thank you. The second position is a joint position. We could not decide which one to give to, so we decided to give the second position to two teams. The first is Team 3. Could you please stand? You have a choice. Great narration, great storytelling. Slightly confusing, but we still like it. Right. And the other team which has secured the second position is Team 17. 1-7. Yes. Good effort. We like your presentation skills. You were very innovative. We gave you a slight edge over everybody else. Thank you. And now for the first position. I know that there are a lot of sad people here right now because you did not win, but please remember that there are no winners and losers. Some people are just better than others, and the next time, obviously, you will all work even harder than that. For the first position, and both of us were unanimous in deciding the first position goes to Team 18. Right. Great work. First impressions, this was the first team to perform. First impressions are really indeed very impressive. Right, so thank you so much. Thank you for letting us be a part of this event.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving that beautiful insight about storytelling, and I'm sure, children, you must have understood what storytelling is all about. Yes or no? I get a very dull response from the participating teams. Yes or no? Yes! So are you going to thank ma'am? Let's hear a thank you.
Thank you.
That's not the actual way of thanking. You can always clap for the judges, isn't it? That kind of insight for a competition is just beautiful. I have learned so much today, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving that beautiful insight. We also have Hriday sir with us. He is the judge for 3D poster making. So he is also here for his judgment, and he is also going to give us the views of what 3D posters are actually about. So please.
नमस्ते। नमस्ते सही है। नमस्ते। परिवर्तितं तु शक्ति अरूप भेदा परमाणानि भावलावणस्य योजनम क्या इति चित्र षड्गतम। अचानक इंग्लिश से एकदम संस्कृत आ गई। बैठ जाओ सभी। विजुअल आर्ट और परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट में विजुअल आर्ट का क्षेत्र मेरा सब्जेक्ट है। मैं हृदय कौशल इस विधा में इस उम्र तक काम करता आया हूँ। आज जो हमने यहाँ पर जजमेंट के लिए जितना भी काम देखा और बहुत बारीकी से देखा, और निर्णय लेना कठिन होता है। सभी ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया। मेरा ये मानना है कि फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड से ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण प्रतिभागिता में आकर काम करना है, जो मैं आज तक करता आया हूं। बहुत सारे पुरस्कारों में नाम भी आया, पुरस्कार भी मिले, कुछ पुरस्कारों को लेने भी गए, कुछ को नहीं भी लिया। लेकिन महत्वपूर्ण स्थिति यह रही मेरे लिए कि प्रतिभागिता बहुत जरूरी है, इसको और बढ़ाया जाए, ये मेरी राय है। सभी स्कूल के टीचर्स मेरे ख्याल से अवेलेबल होंगे, सभी कॉम्पिटिशन्स और बच्चे भी ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्रतिभागिता बढ़ाएं। पुरस्कार आए या ना आए ये सेकंड विषय है। किस बच्चे ने कैसा बनाया, किस बच्चे ने कैसा बोला, किस बच्चे ने कैसे रंग यूज किए, कैसी टेक्निक यूज की, वो बहुत बात की चीजें हैं। सबसे पहले प्रतिभागिता है जो यहाँ पर की गई, मुझे अच्छा लगा। मुझे 3D पोस्टर्स के बारे में उनको जांचने का अवसर मिला और बहुत बारीकी से हमने उनको 4-5 बार 6 बार देखा कि कोई 1-2 पॉइंट ऐसे न रह जाएं जिससे कि किसी बच्चे की मेहनत जाया ना चली जाए। परिणाम बताना बहुत आसान है, 1 मिनट में बता दूंगा, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं विजुअल आर्ट की 2-4 बातें इस नवोदित बच्चे, अंकुरित बच्चों को और उनके अध्यापकों को बचाना चाहता हूँ। कला कल्याण की जननी है, ये सब हम बचपन से पढ़ते हैं और बुढ़ापे तक चले जाते हैं, लेकिन उसका मीनिंग समझ नहीं आता। मुझे तो 52 साल की उम्र में समझ आया है। कला में इतना दम है, आज इस पूरे संसार को AI के माध्यम से पता लग रहा है कि कला क्या चीज होती। कला में रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान सब कुछ है, सुंदरता है और जीवन शैली है। आप कला के माध्यम से कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, कितना भी पैसा कमा सकते हैं, कितनी भी इज्जत कमा सकते हैं और कितना भी शौर्य कमा सकते हैं। कला में इतनी क्षमता होगी, बशर्ते वो सीधे रास्ते पर और वो सच्ची हो। आपने कला में सच्ची साधना की है, दुनिया की कोई ताकत आपको नहीं रोक सकती है कामयाबी के लिए। 100% मिलेगी, किसी भी क्षेत्र में मिले या ना मिले, कला में 100% आपको सफलता मिलेगी और आप आगे बढ़ेंगे। यहाँ पर एक 3D पोस्टर करके हमें सब्जेक्ट मिला है, इसे 3 आयामी पोस्टर बोलते हैं। पोस्टर की एक अलग क्राइटेरिया होता है, एक सब्जेक्ट होता है, उसके कुछ नियम होते हैं। उस नियम में उस 3 आयामी शब्द के साथ बच्चों ने जो काम किया वो बहुत सराहनीय है। सभी ने अपनी क्षमताओं से ऊपर जाकर काम करने का प्रयास किया है। पुरस्कार एक ऐसा शब्द है जो हमें अपने लक्ष्य तक ले जाने में साधक की भूमिका निभाता है, और उस साधक की भूमिका में 2 कॉन्सुलेशन ट्रैक पर रहे और 3 आपके जो फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड रहते हैं वो रहते हैं। मैं पहले एक बार उनके बारे में बता देता हूं ताकि आपकी जिज्ञासा को थोड़ा चैन मिले। कंसोलेशन प्राइज हमारे द्वारा 2 निर्धारित किए गए हैं। पहला है टीम नंबर 1, पोस्टर 3D में टीम नंबर 1 को हमने कंसोलेशन में जगह दी है। दूसरी कंसोलेशन में टीम नंबर 7। उसके अलावा प्राइज, थर्ड प्राइज गोज टू टीम नंबर 3। सेकेंड प्राइज गोज टू टीम नंबर 10। God bless you. और फर्स्ट प्राइज goes to पता होना चाहिए। मेरे को तो पता होता था तो चिल्लाता था मैं हूं। ऐसे तुक्के नहीं चलते, तुक्के नहीं चलते, कॉन्फिडेंस होता है अंदर से काम का। भी है, लेकिन ये जो 4-5 नाम है वो मैं आप टीचर्स को इसलिए बताना चाहता हूँ कि आपके टच में वो सभी हुनरबाज बच्चे हैं जो अच्छा काम करते हैं, अच्छा लेखन करते हैं, अच्छी सब्जेक्ट वाइज बहुत कुछ करते हैं। तो आप उस हिसाब से उन बच्चों को ले जाएं। दूसरी बात, यदि आर्ट में काम करना है तो बच्चों को क्राफ्टमैनशिप और आर्ट्स में डिफरेंस बता के उनको सिखाएं। वो आर्ट और क्राफ्ट का जब मिक्स मैच हो जाता है तो मिक्स वेज बन जाती है, जिससे बच्चे ना तो क्राफ्ट में कैरियर बना पाते हैं और ना ही आर्ट में कैरियर बना पाते हैं। तो इस चीज को आप थोड़ा सा मैनेज करके चलेंगे तो हो सकता है फ्यूचर में बेटर रिजल्ट आने लगेंगे। पहले से बेटर होने लगा और आगे बेटर होगा। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you to our honorable judges for your insights and your guidance. And a big thank you to each of our participants for sharing your creativity, ideas and your visions with us today.
With that, we officially conclude the LAAM Quantum Quill Challenge. Thank you all for being here and have a wonderful day ahead.
Namaste ma'am, a very warm welcome to you from Team LAAM EXPORAMA 2024 and to the judges also. It was an eventful day and we have learned a lot from the judges as they gave their insights through learning, and I'm sure each student here would have learned a lot. With the, of course, competition is other part of the story, but learning is what is important. So big round of applause for yourself. Each one of you has done a good job, and always remember there is always a learning. So be a learner and learn. Ma'am, I would request you to kindly honor the judges as they've been very kind enough to accept our invitation and they've been here with us. I call upon Dr. Anjali Puri. A small token of appreciation from our side. Dr. Yogita Pathania. Dr. Yogita Pathania is the Assistant Professor of Physics at DAV College, Sector 10, Chandigarh. Dr. Ishita Sareen is the Assistant Professor, DAV College, English, from the English Department. Ma'am, wonderful insights given. Thank you so much for being here. We have Ms. Vishakha Khajuria, Assistant Professor of English from DAV College, Chandigarh. Prakash. He is again a very talented person, I must say, and he deals a lot with the change making process, dealing with the waste products. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. May I call upon Mr. Subhash Tori sir. Again a renowned artist, and he has been kind enough to accept our invitation. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. Thank you so much, ma'am. So for all the participating teams, the results of 2 competitions are still awaited, as the judges are still busy compiling the results. So you all can go through our website and see the results there of today's event. And tomorrow, welcoming you all to be part of Roots and Rhythm. Again, a very challenging and a very eventful competition where we are going to preserve our heritage, our dance forms. So looking forward to a very enriching session tomorrow as well. And please make it a point that prize winners as well as the team members are participating in the prize distribution ceremony tomorrow, which is at 11:30 sharp. But you have to be here by 11. And for your Roots and Rhythm, again 8:30 sharp you should be here with your teams, because the competition will start sharp at 9 o'clock. God bless you all. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone. We close up for today. Goodbye, everyone.